Alright, hello everyone, welcome to Livestream. Happy Power Rangers Day. If you didn't know, it's Power Rangers Day. I think it's been a very long time since the first episode came out a very long time ago. And previously, in previous years, I haven't done anything on Power Rangers Day on the channel. Usually it's because I'm always busy with other stuff, and that happened today. This year as well, I was busier with 01 videos that I need to get done before the show ends, but I still wanted to do something this year, so we're doing a live stream. I have done a few community posts and tweets about it, but if you don't know, basically my goal is to talk about every season of Power Rangers today. But I haven't seen every season, so I'm going to talk about every season, but if I haven't seen it, I'll let you know, and I'm just going to talk about, the suits or what I've heard. So this is by no means, a ranking, a tier, whatever, a full review of every season. This is just me spouting whatever I can think of about certain seasons, or all the seasons. I'll be going from MMPR 1 to Beast Morphers, and that will include stuff like the movie, or I guess movies. I didn't plan on talking about the other two movies, but I'll probably work that in. And then Hyperforce, the comics. I plan on talking about the comics as well because I haven't done that at all. And I want to because I love the comics. And I don't get to talk about them. I haven't gotten to talk about them yet, so I want to talk about the comics. But, so, who's here? Craig Casacula Draconis, welcome Draken, Unholy Bra Moment, Mega Mask, Deca Break, Golden Flutter, Deca Master, Anthony Thomas, Brave Level 5, Power King, Adam K. Thank you guys for showing up so soon. We'll see how well this goes as it goes on. Someone asked, Dino Fury cast reveal. Thankfully, I didn't plan on talking about anything that was revealed today because there wasn't anything revealed today. It was, all that they revealed today was, Beast Morphers is coming back in 2 weeks, I think. And there's a My Little Pony Power Ranger coming out, and it was leaked. I'm not even kidding, it was leaked in May, and they still hadn't revealed it, and now they officially announced it today, but it was leaked that it was being announced yesterday. And I said in the tweet that said it was being announced, you can find it on my Twitter, I said this is going to be the only announcement for Power Rangers Day, and I'm not sure how I feel about this, but I was right. That was the only announcement for Power Rangers Day. From the official from the official account, there's a lot of people who have announced stuff on their own, but from the official account, all that we know is Beast Morphers coming back in 2 weeks, and you can buy a My Little Pony Power Ranger if that is something you want. And if you do want it, I'm very happy for you. I don't want it, so Pony Rangers, so essentially Ginga Man. No, because sure, but it's a My Little Pony that looks like the Pink Ranger. So, hello, Asim in the chat. He says hello, and Mask Sentai. So, MMPR season 1. We gotta start at the beginning. Season 1, 2, 3, as you can see. So I haven't seen much of MMPR at all, but I have seen, obviously I have to know a lot about it because it's MMPR. That's all the general public knows about it. I have seen, I think I've seen Green with Evil. I know I've seen Green with Evil, and for sure the first episode. Those are the only ones I can remember. I think I saw the Power Transfer episode as well. But I've probably seen a lot of episodes, but I just can't remember it beyond that. But, MMPR is weird because it's really dumb by today's standards, but, obviously nothing would have come of Power Rangers if it wasn't for how dumb it was, if we're being honest. So, I mean, there's that. So, looking at this as like an adaptation, which is one of my favorite things about Power Rangers, how it's just, let's take this random, I mean, not random, but this Japanese show, and let's take elements of it and put American actors in it, but like let's also change elements of it for the audience in America, and I guess the rest of the world as well. I've always really liked that, and like even right at MMPR season 1, 2, and 3, you can see how they've already like taken elements and switched it up. Like, it's not a new thing, which I'll talk about later, but like it's there since the beginning, but it's just kind of evolved since then. So like season 1, I think in Japan the Green Ranger dies, but here, I mean, Tommy doesn't die. So well, not in MMPR season 1. So they let him live, and then he's like a full-on part of the team, which is really cool in my opinion. And then season 2, they obviously bring in the Thunder Zords, but that's obviously that's from a different Sentai in Japan. So I thought it was really cool how they were like, what if we just brought the Zords over and then we just kept these same suits, since I guess they still were unsure how they could mix in, or how they could switch suits, because that was kind of still a new idea for America Power Rangers. Obviously they've been doing it for like 20 years or something in Japan. So I thought it was really cool then how they're like, let's mix the suits, and then they went one step further and they're like, let's bring in an entire suit but mix it in here. So in Die Ranger, or not in Die Ranger, in Japan, you have the Jew Rangers, and they have their 6 Rangers, and then you have Die Ranger and their 6 Rangers. But here we don't get Die Ranger, and we have 7 MMPR Rangers, and that's really cool because, and one of them's just randomly Die Ranger. And honestly, it does kind of fit in. This may just be because when I first found out about Power Rangers, like, oh, it's the White Ranger, of course he's part of MMPR. But like, I don't know, I feel like there's like just at least the Shield, there's at least that kind of through line from the Green Ranger to the White Ranger. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And I know a lot of people are like, they should have got, like, just used the Die Ranger suits, and that would have been cool. But I think just it's kind of cooler in retrospect that the MMPR Rangers just have 3 separate sets of Zords. I don't know, that's just really cool to me. Especially also when then you consider Alien Ranger. I know nothing about Alien Ranger other than, like, I think it's a mini-series. I don't really know. I don't know, but I think it's kind of interesting that Alien Ranger is its own separate show, like a mini series, but they grabbed some of the Zords and brought it into MMPR for that season 3. Like, I know the like one of the final Megazords in Kaku Ranger, which is what Alien Ranger is adapted from, they're like one of their final Zords, they just made the main Zord of of season 3. And like that alone, that's kind of why I love Power Rangers adapting Sentai. Like, that's just it's kind of funny, but it's also really interesting how it's like in America that is like a primary Megazord. In Japan, that's their final Megazord. So I don't know, stuff like that, really interesting. And this is also kind of set the stage, Alien Ranger, I mean, set the stage for the beginning of switching, of course, switching suits. So let's see, no one in the chat really likes Alien Rangers, which I guess I can understand, but I don't know. I haven't seen Alien Rangers, so I don't know. I do know that I don't like the way the Alien Rangers sound. It's kind of weird. So there's that. There's my opinion. And also it's kind of weird how they're aliens and they're clearly ninjas. So take that as you will. So obviously after Alien Rangers was Zeo, which was the first where the character switched suits as opposed to just, let's keep bringing in MMPR. So for that alone, again, I think it's really interesting how our second season of Power, or our first, diversion from MMPR is Zeo, but, in Japan, it's just, Zyuranger's a Sentai, and then after is Dai Ranger, and then after is Kaku Ranger, and then after is O Ranger. In Japan, and there's nothing wrong with that, because they're obviously, very far into their airing. They know what they're doing at that point. So it's kind of interesting that these are just normal seasons, pretty much. But here, they're MMPR obviously, changed the world. So, and also opening, thank you for mentioning the opening. I haven't seen Zeo, also, should point out. So, the opening of Zeo is really good, though. I know a lot of people, I feel like Zeo's opening's kind of underrated because I don't know why, but I think it's really cool. I've never tried to rank the opening, so I don't know where I'd place it, but also Alien Ranger doesn't get its own opening, which is kind of dumb. So there's that. The suits, though, are cool. I really like their Megazord. I also really like that Tommy becomes red because they had that weird thing in season 3 where Tommy became the leader, but he's still the White Ranger, or he is the White Ranger. So I don't know, and they're still using old footage, so it's the Red Ranger is the leader in the footage, he's a centerpiece of stuff, but no, he's not the leader. It's this suit over here that we have to only film original footage for. So, and Gold Ranger's cool. It looks cool. Those are my thoughts on Zeo because I haven't seen Zeo. So Turbo, when will they announce the cast? When they want to announce the cast? Hold on. Anyways, I feel like that always happens when I'm doing a stream, but there you go, Zeo. That was Zeo. So after Zeo is Turbo. I don't know a lot about Turbo. I do know Turbo's when they phased out the entire old team, right? Yeah, because they had the power transfer halfway through, and people say that's when Turbo gets really good. So I'll take their word for it. That's what people say. I cannot confirm or deny. I do know there is, they have the movie, and I don't know the quality of the movie. I guess I should have mentioned there's also the original Power Rangers movie. I said I was going to talk about those, but I haven't seen either of those. I am more interested in just seeing the original MMPR movie on its own, because it's on its own. Actually, I may go watch that after the stream because I think it's on Hulu and I have Hulu, so I'll probably I'll put that on. Why not? It's Power Rangers Day. So, there's what I'm doing for Power Rangers Day. I'm gonna watch the original movie for the first time. So, Turbo, because Turbo has a movie too, and Turbo's a thing, and that's one thing I'm really interested in seeing. Is I always hear complaints about there's no reason for the power transfer, or for not the transfer, sorry, the switching of powers. They had the Zeo power still, but then they were just cars. Let's switch. So that's one thing I'm really, I want to see how that is, if there is a reason, if there's a subtle reason, cars because we need to drive really fast. But I know Zeo, at least there was the base got exploded, right? So there was some reason to switch to Zeo, and then there was a reason to switch to the in-space powers. But Turbo, I hear there's no reason to switch. But speaking about in-space, I haven't seen in-space either. I'm a really bad Power Rangers fan, I know. I haven't seen much of these first seasons, not because they're old, but like I want to watch in space, but like I kind of want to have that experience of watching what the other 4 seasons before it, because I know this is like a finale to like this whole arc of seasons. So I kind of want that. I kind of want that experience, but that's a lot of seasons to watch. So, but in space, I like what they did. I like what they did, where this is again like the climax of this whole arc of Power Rangers. And again, in Japan, it's just here's G-Ranger, here's this, here's that, here's, it's just these seasons, right? But then they bring it over here, and now in space is like the finale to this whole arc of Power Rangers. And I think, if I recall correctly, in space was actually going to be a finale. So of like genuinely the finale of Power Rangers. They were not going to do any more Power Rangers, and here we are on season like what, 28 now? Yeah, 28. So yeah, they definitely they canceled Power Rangers back then, guys. So when they say Power Rangers is going to be canceled, I believe them. It's going to be, we're never going to get Power Rangers again. Yep. In space right here, this was the last season. Well, I will say, people hype up the Psycho Rangers a lot. I'm really interested in the Psycho Rangers because they look cool. I'm not gonna lie. I like the look of the Psycho Rangers, and I like the idea of the Psycho Rangers. I am interested though in Mega Ranger. I'm probably gonna end up watching Mega Ranger before In Space, because from what I hear, Mega Ranger has a video game theme, and so if you don't know, my favorite Kamen Rider show of all time, and probably my favorite Toku show, is Kamen Rider Ex-Aid, and that is what some people may consider a video game themed show. So yeah, there's that. Just throwing that out there. I see some people mentioning why In Space, I think, like, as the name, because they're Power Rangers in space. Ooh. I mean, yeah, because they hadn't been to space before in this continuity, so they were like, why not? They're in space. Okay. Mega Ranger is a very loose video game thing. Maybe that's not something I want to look into then, because I want Ex-Aid video game theme. No, I'm just kidding, but I'll just go watch Ex-Aid again if I want that. So okay, well, loose video game theme, but it's played on well. Okay, so who knows? Maybe I'll watch that. So after In Space, of course, is Lost Galaxy. So I do like how they continue the space theme, because I think Ginga Man wasn't space theme, but for this they're just like, why the hell not? We did In Space. We're already in space. Let's stay in space. Ooh, so now we're in a Lost Galaxy. This one, I think I've seen In Space. I know I've seen some episodes of In Space, but I don't remember if I finished it. I don't remember the finale at all, so I may have, or no, well, but I know this thing that happens in the team up. I've seen episodes of In Space, but I don't Lost Galaxy, but I don't remember why or how many. It's very blurry, my memory on Lost Galaxy, to the point where I've actually accidentally been calling it In Space. But the suits are dumb. I don't like the suits. I won't say they're dumb, but the chest piece is weird. The helmets are kind of weird. They feel like the mouth plates feel a little cut off, if that makes sense. But like, I mean, the helmets themselves are pretty good. I like the helmets. I really like the green one. I don't know what about it. And there's Zord, or Megazord, sorry. The first Megazord, I really like that. I don't know why. Like, it's like really dumb and colorful, but like, I don't know. it appeals to me. I like the dumb and colorful thing. And then I like how this is the first departure really from MMPR ever, of course, really, because I mean, In Space was the finale of that kind of idea. So this is obviously like the whole afterwards for it, and I think it was good. Because of that, like Terra Venture, I'm gonna I'm gonna guess that Terra Venture is completely original to Power Rangers. Please let me know if it is. That's really cool. I really like that whole idea of Terra Venture, and I like how it's kind of like a subtle, like they still tie it back to the original show, the original seasons, because Bulk and Skull are in like the beginning. I know they team up with in space. I'm pretty sure there was something else. I think the Astro Mega ship is just in it somewhere, just as a ship, and then in the crossover they're like look, it's a Megazord too. Someone let me know all of that, because I don't know. That's just a guess, but I thought it was cool. And the crossover is cool with the in Space Rangers. And what I can remember of it, or what I know of it, I don't really want to spoil it if you don't, but the whole thing, or I mean, yeah, that is a clear, I can't believe I forgot that. That is a clear, like, aftermath of what happened in the previous seasons of Power Rangers. So I really like In Space for like that. It's kind of like Avengers Endgame and Spider-Man Far From Home. This functions a lot like Spider-Man Far From Home, where it's kind of like the aftermath of In Space, but like it's not really a full, I mean, Far From Home is a definitive sequel, but I mean, this is kind of as well, depending on how you want to look at it. So what do I think about the Lights of Orion? They are, I don't really know really much about it. I like the way it looks on the Megazord. I think it makes a bigger V, right? I like that. And I think it's just, don't they just make claws on them? That's pretty cool. Not just like a full weird bulky chest piece. Not pointing fingers at anything, but yeah, there's that. So afterwards was, I would say, probably the biggest departure, because obviously this was still, Lost Galaxy was still kind of like in that universe. I mean, they all are, but I mean, like, Lost Galaxy is kind of like a little soft reboot, because we still bring back In Space characters like into the show beyond just a crossover, and obviously Bulk is in it. But everyone's saying Astronema comes back. I know, that was yeah. But this one obviously like took it in a completely different direction, and I don't remember much of this one as well. So the suits, I don't really like the Lightspeed suits. They're just kind of, they're all right. I don't know. The helmets are cool. The chests are just, I don't hate it though. And I mean, obviously the main thing, this is the only thing that I really know about Lightspeed, is the Titanium Ranger, the first 100% original Ranger, and that's really that's badass on the Department of Costuming. I don't know why I said it like that, but I mean, they just looked at the season and they're like, there's only 5 Rangers, and we have been having 6 Rangers for a long time now. What if we just made one? Okay, yeah, let's make a whole new Ranger. And they threw it in, and he looks really good. Like, it fits in with these suits, and that's really cool to me. I don't know. There's just something about that. They're just like, well, let's make our own Ranger. Like, they made its own Morpher. The Morpher fits with their Morpher. Like, it fits. I think they took one of them. Let me know, but I think they took one of the Sentai Megazords that they would already have in the show, and they just made it his own Megazord. Like, they filmed cockpit Megazord footage, and I think because they had like a thing on the Morpher, like that is on the Megazord, it fits, and that's really cool. That's like, again, that's my favorite part of Power Rangers, just like taking stuff into Sentai and just kind of like, what if we did a little different thing with that thing? And year they made their own Ranger and they connected it to a Megazord that already existed. So that's really cool. Just a quick side note, I've seen some people asking about if I'm going to do 01 then to now review and Rider Potential. Yeah, I've been planning on doing that. My 01 review will be out before next Friday, hopefully. I'm aiming for maybe Wednesday, but we'll see. Rider Potential 01, I don't know when that's coming out, but at the least I know that Rider Potential 01, I'm currently working on that. So that is a video that's coming out. I don't know when. So just wanted to throw that out there. But no more Kamen Rider. It's Power Rangers Day. I saw someone ask what I think of Lightspeed and Go-Go 5. I haven't seen Go-Go 5, and I mean I don't really remember anything about Lightspeed, even though I think I've watched a couple episodes of it, but I don't really remember. I watched full honesty, I watched a lot of these seasons when I was young. So yeah, I don't really remember this. Most of these, if I've even seen them, but I have seen like clips and episodes of like every season. So do I like the Super Train Megazord? He's kind of a chunky boy, maybe a little too chunky for my taste, but I mean that's like his whole gimmick, so I really like his boxiness. So that's pretty cool. Time Force, that's the one everyone talks about. Whoa, Time Force was cool. I have watched this whole season. This is the first one where I could say, yes, I've watched the whole thing. How much of it I remember? Yeah, that's... but I have watched all of Time Force. And I do remember liking it. I liked the whole first episode, like the whole setup where they're just like in the future, Time Force is just a police force. And then the guy goes into past and they're like, now we have to go into past. And like I think the whole gimmick when they defeat a monster, they turn into little toys, little Sentai vinyls, and that's kind of cute. I kind of like that. The Quantum Ranger suit, the suits are all kind of all right. I'm not the biggest. I like them. I'm not gonna say I don't like them, but the Quantum Ranger suit, that is hot. That is definitely the best suit in this season, and the Q-Rex is also very hot. All the Megazords in this season are pretty good, except the blue one. The blue mode blue. Please, someone, if you're a part of Time Force, I want you to go back in time and please go to Toei Studios and please beg them, do not make the mode blue Megazord. Just keep mode red. Kill mode blue, please, because that is ugly. That's the ugliest Megazord I've seen. I hate it. But mode red is pretty good. And those are my professional thoughts on Time Force. Oh, I do like the ending where there was that weird thing where like all of a sudden now the gold guy, I don't remember anyone's names. The gold guy is suddenly like this old scientist or something. I think that was really cool as like this pre-finale final boss, and then obviously we get Rancic as the final boss, and then big spoilers for Time Force in 3, 2, 1 he turns himself in, which is really cool. I think that was a really cool way to defeat the final bad guy, especially in then the future or in the next season. I think I could be misremembering, but I think we do get like a couple scenes where Rancic is just normal, like he's just a normal dude. He's like he's completely normal now. I can't rehabilitated. I can't remember words, but he's like he's recovered from being evil, and I thought that was really cool. Unless I'm misremembering, and then it becomes I wish they did that, but. That whole like in Time Force, that whole thing with Rancic, that was really cool. So, speaking of Rancic, if he did actually appear in this crossover, I think, then we have Wild Force, which I did see, all of Wild Force. So I'm about to give probably my hottest take. in Power Rangers. In my YouTube career, I don't like these suits. So let me explain myself. The suits themselves, like if you cut off their heads, I like that suit. Like it's not amazing, but you know, I like it. The head, I don't like these helmets. I'm completely honest, I don't like these helmets, and that's because to me, they just look like animal heads. Like the Blue Ranger just looks like a shark, but not like, oh, it's a Power Ranger, but his helmet is a shark. No, it just looks like a shark head to me. The White Ranger just looks like a tiger head. She just has a tiger on her head. The Red Ranger, why does he just have a lion on his head? Like I don't like the helmets. I guess, yeah, the suits, like the suits are cool, but the helmets, I don't like the helmets. And I know a lot of people are like, I love the Gal Ranger suits, and I'm like, yeah, the suit, it's pretty good. The helmet, I don't know. No, not for me. I do think the Silver Ranger is the best looking helmet, though. So there's that. The Megazords are pretty cool as well. I know a lot of people like love the Gal Ranger mechas. They're there. I don't really mind them that much. They're just things that exist. They're pretty cool. So, as a season, I don't really remember much of Wild Force, but I have seen it. I know there's that weird... Actually, I think this was original in Power Rangers, so I can talk about this. The whole Master Orc thing, where they completely change it, and he's like, oh yeah, he's just a dude pretending to be a dude, and he's evil, I guess, and he's a dude. That he's like I think he had a whole like mechanical horn to pretend to be an orc. That was pretty cool. I like that. And then, yeah, Kite and Animus, I don't remember much about them, but I do kind of remember it was just like, oh, okay, this young child is the god of the Power Rangers. So, yeah, and Cole, Cole was pretty cool, especially because it's tied to Master Orc, and that also reminded me of another weird thing with the claws of the suits. That's a little weird for me, but it fits with the suit, so I don't really mind it. I still don't like the helmets, and apparently most of you don't like the helmets, so I'm happy to find out that I'm not crazy, because as a person, that seems like a very hot take to me from what I've seen on online discourse, so I'm glad to know I'm not clinically insane. So let's see. Oh yeah, thank you. Shelby Chandler just mentioned Gao Silver. I haven't seen Gao Ranger, but it just reminded me of the whole Zen Aku thing. That was really cool, where they just, let's throw this Megazord, or let's throw this monster in a Megazord. Why the hell not? Monsters piloting Megazords will honestly never not be cool, right? I mean, that's just another Wild Force hot take, but you throw a monster in a Megazord and they're just controlling it. That's really cool. Apparently, I am crazy to hate the Wild Force helmets. Thank you for validating my opinion. And then so in 2 comments, I have been called crazy to hate the Wild Force helmets and not crazy to hate the Wild Force helmets. So apparently, it's just as hot a take as I thought. So I guess I'm not crazy. Yeah, it's just like I like the idea of doing the mouths of the animals as helmets. Like, it has worked with other Power Rangers suits. Like, I think Beast Morphers kind of does it, but not really. I would say, like, MMPR does it. I don't mind it in MMPR. It looks fine. I think it's just for here, like, the teeth and the eyes are, like, so prominent on the whole design that, like, now all I see is just the lion head. Oh, and there's like a weird mouth plate down there. Is that? Oh, that's supposed to be his mouth. So he sees through the mouth of the lion, but like all I see is just this lion head. So, now that it's just probably just me seeing things wrong, because that also happens with Ninja Storm here. So this isn't a hot take. I actually like the Ninja Storm suits, but there's one part of them that I can never get over. I will never ever unsee this. And I'm probably, if you really like these suits, you might want to leave for like 10 seconds because I'm going to ruin these suits for you most definitely by saying this. But 3, 2, 1, they look like they're smiling. The white, like, bottom of the visor, I can only ever see it as them smiling. They look like they're all smiling at me. It's kind of creepy to me. I don't, like, that's just a thing I see. I can't unsee it. And just, I'm not going to talk about them here, but it happens in Kira Major. The Red Ranger specifically. I mean, it's kind of with all the Kira Majors as well. They also look like they're smiling at me because they have the same white underline of the helmet. Megadong sees it. Thank you, Megadong. I know I'm crazy. I know this is not me knocking the Ninja Storm suits. This is just a thing I see with Ninja Storm suits. They're smiling at me. So that's not a... I have no... If anything, I probably like them more because they're smiling at me. But Deca Red can't see it. That's probably for the best, for your sake. But Ninja Storm has a season. I've seen Ninja Storm. I don't remember much of Ninja Storm. But, actually, I quickly wanted... I forgot totally, but Forever Red happened in Wild Force, and that's really cool. Everyone else has, like, talked about how great Forever Red is, and, I mean, they're all right, so... It's Forever Red. What more can I say? It's really cool. So Ninja Storm was also really cool. This was the first Disney season, so now we've completely switched companies. This is where it gets kind of interesting, but I liked Ninja Storm. It was cool. I liked the whole aspect with the Thunder Rangers. I was just thinking of the Go Riders, and I haven't seen Hurricaneers, so I don't know why I was thinking of their name, but and also for future reference, the Thunder Rangers are also smiling, so there's that. But the Thunder Rangers were really cool. Their suits are also really nice, and that's my whole... Oh, Cam was really cool. I really like their whole base as just like an underground thing, and they're like the last line of defense for this ninja school that got completely wiped. So Chaboy D just subscribed. Thank you for subscribing. Isn't Wild Force part of Disney era or no? It's kind of weird how you want to look at it. I guess technically it is because of people calling Beast Morphers part of the Hasbro era, but Wild Force was made under Saban. So I think it's fully Saban. I don't know if like halfway through Disney started working on it, but I know for the most part it was Saban's team that made Wild Force, and Ninja Storm was fully made by Disney, but Wild Force I think started airing on whatever Disney bought for Power Rangers to come under their ownership. So like technically yes, Wild Force is kind of a Disney season, but Disney had no hand in it, I believe. So it's kind of still a Saban season. It's kind of like Beast Morphers, I'll get to that later. But Ninja Storm, yeah, that's cool. I like the Green Samurai Ranger as well. I don't remember if he's smiling or not, but the suit is cool. I think he's smiling. Just remembering it, but that's not what this discussion should be about, but it's kind of what it's become. But I like the whole thing with Cam, and I think I think this is where they had the legendary line of, we may not have power, but we're still Power Rangers. I think something along those lines. I don't remember it exactly, but that's a cool line. And yes, everyone giving shout outs to Pua. He was great in this season. I think his name was Shane, right? I don't remember. But Ninja Storm Red, he's very cool. I like him. So, these next 2 seasons are where I can maybe give some actual discussion, because I don't remember much of them again. But these 2 are what I usually say are my favorite seasons of Power Rangers. They're basically tied for me. So first up is Dino Thunder. And I love Dino Thunder. Dino Thunder is fantastic. And it's basically, I mean, people always talk about it, but this is like the best way to just like, let's do MMPR again, but like completely different still. Also, side note, so this is an example, in my opinion, of how to do a good animal mouth is the visor. Like, I just see, like, the Red Ranger has this weird jagged visor. Black Ranger has this weird black mouth thing visor. Blue has this weird, they all have weird spiky visors. But then if you look a little closer, it's like, oh, that's the T-Rex mouth. Okay, but for Wild Force, all I see is the mouth. So that's why I don't like those helmets. But I keep bringing back those helmets. Yes, the Dino Thunder theme is great. I haven't been touching on the theme songs a lot, but Dino Thunder's is great. So Dino Thunder I really like because it's just like the way they reference MMPR, but it doesn't feel like heavy-handed. Like, you don't feel like, oh, get it, because the original Power Rangers did that as well in 1990, whenever they did that. Get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? Because they did that in MMPR. No, it's not like that. Like, I don't think Tommy is really not like, oh, get it, because he's the Green Ranger until like that one episode. And that's really cool. Like, I really appreciate that. And everyone says this all the time, and I agree, this is like the best version of Tommy. What's that one line where he becomes the Black Ranger and he's like, I don't know, I may be old, but I still got it, and he becomes the Black Ranger. That was pretty cool. And like, even the White Ranger, Trent is awesome, and when he's interactions with his father and the other Rangers is really cool. But like, Trent is like Tommy. He's like an updated version of Green with Evil, right? Like, he's an updated version of the whole Green with Evil arc. Tommy as the evil Green Ranger, sorry. But then you also have Tommy in this season, and it's like, okay, like, that's pretty ballsy, but it's pretty awesome the way they pull it off. And then you also have what is it called? Fighting Spirit, the whole crossover anniversary thing. Fighting Spirit also proved that they just wanted to forget that Turbo ever happened. I know, it's kind of funny. They're just like, Tommy never became Turbo, did he? Everyone's saying they like Dino Thunder as well in the chat. I'm love to see it. What else about obviously they have the 2 like really good clip show episodes. You have, I think it's called Legacy of Power, right? Where they learn that like there's other Power Rangers, and I think I saw that episode when I was still like getting into Power Rangers. So I saw Dino Thunder and I watched that episode, and I'm like, holy crap, there's all these other Power Rangers. And I'm pretty sure that I had not watched MMPR yet, so I didn't know Tommy was an old Ranger when I was watching this season. So then they have that whole clip show with MMPR Green, and it's like, oh, that's why he said that whole thing about being old and old Ranger and stuff, because he was. That's really cool. I don't know, that's my experience with Dino Thunder. I saw a question, do you prefer Dino Thunder blacks or white suit? I think I prefer white. I really like Dino Thunder white. But Dino Thunder Black is also really good. Those are probably the 2 best suits in the season, in my opinion. And I wish I would probably get Dino Thunder White Lightning Collection, but the visor is a no-no. Yes, you can, the details there, you can paint it up, but like I'm waiting because there's apparently a rumor that they're gonna reprint the whole Dino Thunder White with the visor, and I'm willing to just wait for that to happen. If that is gonna happen. If that doesn't happen, then I'll just paint one. I'll just buy one and paint one. But for now, I'll just wait. So yeah, Dino Thunder is really cool, and they also have the crossover with Ninja Storm, which was also pretty cool. And I think they call it Thunderstorm, right? And I don't know, it's kind of funny that like they have Ninja Storm, and then they have Thunder Rangers in it, and then the next season is Dino Thunder, and people complained about Ninja Steel. Well, we just had Dino Steel. Whoa, like, really? So, yeah, those are. I'm trying to think of anything else to say about Dino Thunder, but I can't. I mean, nothing else that anyone else has said. Like, oh, the comic relief is great, which they are, but like, you know, everyone says that and everyone agrees. The only thing about the Dino Thunder helmets that I don't like are the small dot eyes. I can kind of agree, but like, I mean, that's kind of why I like them, because it's not like, guys, get it? It's a dinosaur head as the helmet. Whoo. So after, I'm always tied up with Dino Thunder as my favorite season and SPD as my favorite season, because so Dino Thunder is like the perfect legacy season in Power Rangers, at least. Like, just like, yeah, like as I mentioned, like they reference pretty much Green with Evil in this new and fresh and unique way, at the same time having Tommy in that season who went through the same thing. Tommy in the season doesn't feel heavy-handed, like, guys, get it, it's Tommy, get it, the joke is, he's, like, I didn't know he was an old Ranger watching the season, because they don't really throw it in your face. And also forgot to mention, there's the whole Lost in Translation episode, which is really funny. I didn't know that was Sentai when I was first watching it. I thought, honest to God, I thought that was a real Japanese ripoff of Power Rangers Dino Thunder. And looking back on it years later and realizing that was the original season is really funny. But SPD is great. SPD is like the opposite of Dino Thunder, and that's why I have these two tied up. Because Dino Thunder, again, is like that perfect legacy season, but SPD is like the perfect new world version of Power Rangers. So like, set it in 2025, the world building, they're just like aliens. Like there's aliens everywhere, people in alien suits, alien makeup, like what if you didn't see Sentai Potential Q Ranger, I was like, if you adapt Q Ranger, I think you should make everyone an alien, but you don't need to be like, but like give them something to look like an alien. You don't need to put them all in like the piggy mask, right? But like Cat just has like ear prosthetics and like dots, like whiskers, I think, or something on her cheeks, and it's like, oh yeah, sure, she's an alien. Like stuff like that. Like it's so simple, but it's like, oh yeah, of course she's an alien, and I think that's really cool. And all the Rangers are really cool. I think this is probably one of the best like developments of a Ranger team, where they have that whole thing with Sky, where he was like, I think Kruger said like, oh, what if I made the Pink Ranger, whose name I can't personally remember, what if we made the Pink Ranger the leader? Would you follow her orders? And he's like, no, because I am mean. And then, you know, the blah blah blah, the whole thing. And then at the end of the season, they recreate that whole entire scene where he's like, Doggy's again like, Sky, what if I made the Pink Ranger in charge? And he's like, okay. And he's like, okay, cool, you're red now. And then Jack is just a really cool Red Ranger as well. It's, in fairness, the setup is kind of weird where Jack and Sid are Z. Yeah, someone mentioned Sydney. Yeah, Pink Ranger is Sydney. Thank you. The green, sorry, yellow is Z, I think. So Jack and Z are just like thieves, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, now you're cops. Like, okay. Interesting. But obviously, you know, everyone talks about Green Ranger. Bridge is great. Buttery, I'm obviously, you know what I'm doing with my hand. Buttery, you know, the whole buttery. The Megazords, the suits are really cool. The whole 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The I don't know, it stands out, but it's really cool. Deca Master, really clean. He's really good. Sixth Ranger, what's his name? Sam. His suit's all right, and he's all right in the season. I see some people mentioning, you know, just remove just remove Sam, and it's pretty good. And I won't say I agree because I don't really remember much of Sam. So I think what my logical conclusion is, if you just remove Sam, the season's the same, which probably says something about the Sixth Ranger. So I don't really remember much of Sam, except that he's the ball of light because everyone like memes about it. And like if you look up like Sixth Ranger morph compilations, it's just this ball of light that says SPD emergency, and it cuts to like the Omega Ranger, and that's really funny. So that's my take on Sam. How about Nova? Nova was in 5 seconds, so the Nova suit is cool, but you know, that's that. Oh, and they made a whole ass other team in this. Yes, they were just in motorcycle suits, and they're like A Squad, but that was really cool. I like the whole thing where they're like, we see A Squad in the beginning. They're like, A Squad's the best. A Squad disappears. Oh, now it's B Squad. And all this, that, the whole season. And then at the end, A Squad comes back, but it's like, oh, they're evil. And first female Red Ranger. And that was really cool. I like A Squad. And the whole dynamic with B Squad. So, is there a C Squad? That's the question. We know there's an E Squad. But C Squad, who knows? But SPD's cool, and there's also the crossover with Dino Thunder. So, you know, probably my favorite crossover, just because, you know, those are my 2 favorite seasons. There's 2 crossovers, and on Netflix, it's really confusing because the second crossover is like the last episode, so it doesn't fit into any continuity. I don't know. It's weird, but yes, Swamp Mode, really cool. SPD Orange, that's right, they made SPD Orange for like 5 minutes. They made a whole suit to put in 5 minutes. Alright, what the hell? In space, the A Squad has in space helmets. That's also, yeah, that's really funny. Oh, and there's the Time Force dude. Jack is like, or sorry, Sky is like, my father was the Red Ranger, and it's the Time Force Ranger with the little SPD badge, and it's super funny. I know, and it breaks continuity too. Is there any explanation for why that is the way it is? I don't know, but I also love how every year the fandom's like, we're 1 year closer to SPD, and aliens have still not arrived yet. And I mean, clearly SPD is just like its own universe now, I guess, because of that. So yeah. So after SPD, I have seen this season, but I don't remember much of this one. Mystic Force is Mystic Force. I feel like people hate on the theme song a lot. The theme song's alright. Now I feel like there's this whole thing with Nick where people are like, Nick ruined the season or something, and like, I don't remember much of Nick, but like, he was kind of an asshole in the beginning. The one thing I distinctly remember was the beginning where everyone's like, I believe in magic, and then he's like, I guess I kind of believe in magic, and like, it doesn't work, and you're like, I get the hell out of here. And it's like, you're just gonna let him remember this whole thing? Okay. That was really funny to me. Now Mystic Force kind of has, I kind of am a little nostalgic for Mystic Force because, the red, I don't think I had the Red Ranger. I may have had the Red Ranger toy, but the Yellow Ranger I know for sure I had the toy as like a kid before I even watched Power Rangers, but like I had that. And then I also have, I think it's like one of the only morphers I have. I have the Mystic Force morpher. I just found out today, because I was going to bring it out on stream, that the batteries leaked inside. So now it won't work, but at least I got the batteries out so I can display it, because I think it looks pretty cool. I like the really simple morphers, and the Mystic Force's morpher is literally just a phone. So, pretty hot in my opinion, pretty stylish. I do quite like that, and I also like how it's like so time force. No, it's so, it fits the time perfectly, because they have the wands, and then Udon is like, let me make that current for you, and it's a flip phone. And it's like, if it was today, she'd be like, let me make that current for you, and it's a brick, because smartphones. That's really funny to me. It probably works better as a flip phone though than it does as a smartphone. So I'm gonna say it now. Flip phone morpher toys are better than smartphone morpher toys. Come at me. It's more fun. Mid-stick force from Patty Murphy. I think that's pretty accurate. It's not terrible. I don't really remember loving it that much. I do remember the whole Korag thing. Korag, let's just throw it out there. Korag is a hot suit, and Wolf Warrior is probably my second favorite suit in Power Rangers. Because technically, Ryusel Red Max is a Power Ranger suit now, so that's technically my favorite suit. But Wolf Warrior is such a good suit, and Korag too, but it's purple, so I don't like it as much. Is today Power Rangers Day? Yes, today is Power Rangers Day. But I feel like the whole thing with Wolf Warrior and like the mystery of Nick's dad, I think I figured that out like as a kid. It was like super obvious. Like Udana was like, "Where is my lost child? Our child is gone, Liambo." And I was like, as a kid, I'm pretty sure I was like, okay, so Korag is Liambo and Nick is the child. So, yeah, like, I don't know. That seemed kind of obvious. Maybe that's just hindsight. Maybe I'm just making stuff up, but I feel like that was kind of an obvious twist. Thomas likes him red and armored. You know it. The Battleizer in the season is really good. I mean, all the Battleizers are really good because they're all red and armored, as you said. But I forgot to mention Battleizers a lot, but Dino Thunder's Battleizer is really cool. I love the SPD Battleizer. This Battleizer is also really cool. But my favorite, I think, I kind of go between SPD and Time Force because I really like the weird fire aspect of the Time Force one. Forgot to mention though, like it completely comes out of nowhere in an episode. Like all of a sudden they're like, "There's a night," because we're Time Force. Ooh, get it? Get it? The joke. The suits actually, in general, because I already talked about the armored guys. Yeah, they are pretty good. Capes, the capes are cool. I should mention that. So this is a weird one. So I feel like Operation Overdrive is the most I honestly would call it the Last Jedi of Power Rangers because it's so divisive. Like you have people who hate the season who are within their right to hate the season, people who love the season who are within their right to love the season, but like there's so much anger towards each other. Like for some reason it's like, I love this season, how could you love this season? I hate this season, how could you hate this season? I haven't seen it, so I'm in the middle. Let me rephrase that. I think I've seen some of it. Like I know about the big twist in it. But I haven't seen enough of it to give like a real definitive opinion. And like again, this is the one season on this list on this whole list where, like, I haven't seen it, really, but I'm like, what do I say about it? Because if I say something bad about it, but I haven't seen it, I feel like I'm going to be attacked. Like, any other season, right? Like, it doesn't feel like that. So, there's one thing I can talk about. The opening, I like the opening. I don't hate it. People really hate the opening, and that's fine. I can see why you wouldn't like the opening, but, like, it's pretty... I like it. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but I think it's pretty cool. Now, the suits are alright. Looking at these, I think the Blue Ranger suit is probably my favorite. I have considered watching Bowkenger, though, because, again, this season, Operation Overdrive is so divisive. I'm like, let's watch the Sentai. What the hell? I think I did watch the Sixth Ranger episodes with Taizan, but, like, I didn't know that was the Sixth Ranger episode, so I was like, when he suddenly turned into the Sixth Ranger, I was like, oh, that's the Sixth Ranger arc. Okay, that's pretty cool. I think a lot of these I watched when I was younger. Well, I have said that, but I don't think I knew a lot, so I didn't know when any Sixth Ranger stuff was happening, so that was probably something that that came out of nowhere for me. I do love that suit, though. That's actually probably one of my favorite Sixth Ranger suits. I think it's called the Mercury Ranger, right? Which is also really cool. They're just silver. What the hell? No, Mercury Ranger. That's what we're calling this suit. And the Battleizer is also really cool because it's red and gold. And, you know, you got me there. Zaban, red and gold. What am I to do? So... yeah, those are my thoughts on Operation Overdrive. I know there's whole Once a Ranger thing. Actually, I will say, for Once a Ranger, I think I might have seen it. I don't really remember watching it, though. I have seen a lot of clips, though. Like, it was a big talking point recently. I do like the diverse cast they brought in for Once a Ranger. Like, especially for making Boom the Red Ranger. That was some really cool, just, like, world building for SPD. Like, this isn't even SPD season, and they still built up the world of SPD, where they're like, oh yeah, now Boom is red, and now Sky's in charge, and what that can only leave me to believe is that Doggy is chilling in, like, some Hawaii vacation thing in space. Like, Doggy's retired now, right? So... that's my takeaway from Operation Overdrive. Doggy Kruger is most likely, or his name's Anubis, isn't it? I don't know. Shadow Ranger is most likely retired now, somewhere off in space, as on, like, a weird beach planet. So I see most of you guys in the chat don't really like Operation Overdrive, which is fine. I can't say you're wrong. I see a few people like Taizan, so that's really cool. Johnny Young Bosch needs to come back for Dino Fury as a mentor for Johnny Young Bosch for Master Black. I hope they do the Masters in Dino Fury. That would be really cool. But perfect transition. It's not time for Dino Fury. It's time for Jungle Fury. And I have seen Jungle Fury, and I really like Jungle Fury. I feel like a lot of people are like, this is the most underrated season of Power Rangers, but so many people say it is that at this point I don't think it is. I've seen enough people say, like, this is the most underrated season, that I don't think it's underrated. I think it's just pretty... everyone agrees it's good. And I agree it's good. I really like Jungle Fury. I like the whole... there are a few things in it, but RJ is, like, the universally loved Ranger. Like, I'm calling it now. You guys are probably gonna start talking about RJ before I even mentioned him. There you go. Someone just said it. And it's because he's fantastic. Like, RJ is just, he's so goddamn chill, and he's a werewolf for some reason, but he's so chill. It's fantastic. He's so I'm trying to think of, like, specific RJ moments, but I can't because it's been so long since I've seen Jungle Fury. But wow, we're at the point in Power Rangers where Jungle Fury sounds wrong to me. Like, I hate that. I kind of hate that Jungle Fury sounds wrong to me. Now I'm kind of understanding where people are coming from when they say they don't like Dino Fury as the name. But Unholy Brown Moment said, who the frick, RJ? You don't need to watch Jungle Fury. Just look up, like, RJ Power Rangers clips and just watch, like, all the videos. RJ is just, like, he's like, there's clear, like, Mr. Miyazaki parallels to, like, Karate Kid, if you've seen that, where he's like the mentor very clearly, but he's like super laid back about it. Like, he's like, oh, clean up my whole loft, and then he ends up learning how to beat the monster or something. I don't know, that's really unique. I really like mentors like that where they very subtly help their rangers grow, and it's not like really super heavy handed, like, the lesson of the day is do not steal. But it's like, well, bro, if you steal, then how else will you learn? Like, I'm so sorry for butchering RJ, but I mean, it's RJ. I do also really like the growth of the characters, like with the masters. From what I've heard, in Japan, there was this weird thing where, like, they had to complete a triangle of power or something like that. But here it's just like, okay, here's a new power here's a master, you have to go get the master. But, like, I like how they each had their own individual master, and it wasn't I from what I remember, it wasn't like, oh, you guys need to go find these masters. Like, it was just all of a sudden now Lily has to go do this, and now Theo goes do that, and then Casey does this, and oh, now we have 3 masters. And as you guys have been mentioning, then we get the Spirit Rangers, and it's like, well, goddamn, like, this is really cool. They made more American exclusive Rangers. Woo, like, that's really cool. And then, yeah, they all get their own weapons from the Rangers, but, like, the Master Rangers use those weapons as well. And, like, I love the subtle touch where Jungle Master Mode is they get, like, a white base design for Jungle Master Mode, the main 3, and then the Spirit Rangers are automatically in Jungle Master Mode because they're already Jungle Masters. And you also see with Dominic and RJ how they have, like, the white designs as well because they're also Jungle Masters. That's a really cool detail. I love subtlety like that. It's really cool. And I think there's actually toys out there of the Spirit Rangers, but they have the black suit where they're not Jungle Masters, which kind of implies that they have been Power Rangers in the past, which is, I think, a really cool thing. Boom, you should probably just make a whole series of that. And some people were mentioning Jared and Daishi. That's another really great part. I think the villains are really cool in Jungle Fury. Like Jared and Daishi and Camille, it's just like, okay, they're the villains. But then you bring in the whole the other villains. I don't remember their names. I only remember Rizaka is someone's name, right? I don't know. I know that's someone's name, but I don't know the face to go with it. But, like, it was really cool how he brings in these other his own masters, really, as a parallel to the main Rangers getting their own masters. Daishi gets his own masters, and he learns more powers on his own, where he eventually learns Mentality. Zucano, and then eventually we get the whole thing with the spirit demon beasts. I think that's what they're called. You know what I'm talking about, like where Jared Daishi becomes now the whole gold phoenix thing, and that is also a really hot suit. I was playing Battle for the Grid, and I forgot that was a skin, and I found myself fighting a Daishi in that skin, and I was like, whoa, okay, I forgot that was a suit that existed, and I did not know it looked that good, and I kind of really like it now. So that's a really good suit. Jungle Fury suits are also really good. They're really simple, but they're also really, really good. That's my whole opinion on the Jungle Fury suits. And the Megazords are really cool as well. I do think it's the Rhino Isn't there like a stampede mode thing? That was kind of weird. I don't know what that was, but Jungle Fury is cool, and it's kind of sad they didn't get a crossover with anyone. And I think this is when the budget started going down, right? I think some of you were mentioning Operation Overdrive, but they still got a crossover done. Here they didn't, so I feel like that's when the budget started going down. And then eventually, of course, the budget reached its peak, sorta. I messed up this transition, so it'll be a second until you see it on screen. But obviously, after Jungle Fury is, I wonder what season is after Power Rangers Jungle Fury. Let's think together, everyone. What season was after Jungle Fury? Does anyone know? I'm gonna take a drink of water. You guys let me know what season came after Jungle Fury. All right. Yeah. So what season came after Jungle Fury? I can't remember. Is that like was it a good season? Was it a bad season? RPM. What the hell does RPM stand for? Rotate Turbo. There you go. There you go. I wasn't looking for that answer, but until you said it, and now I'm glad I did this stupid gag. Go Andre. There, Go Andre came after RPM. Everyone talks about RPM. What's your favorite season? It's RPM. Why is it RPM? Because Power Rangers was dying, and they're like, let's throw the entire budget into RPM. And that's like, I think that's the only reason RPM is as good as it is, because it, like, this was legitimately supposed to be the end of Power Rangers, and they were like, let's just they tossed every ounce of cash they had in the show, and now we have Power Rangers RPM. And RPM's pretty cool. I like RPM. I feel like here's my one negative with RPM. This is really my only negative, and that's just because I think from what I've heard, RPM was put into production, or like they started writing it before they saw the suits. And Go Onger has some pretty wacky, quirky suits. So I think it's really weird that we have this like post-apocalyptic Power Rangers show, but it's also guys, the cars have googly eyes. Get it? That's really my whole gripe. Like, that's kind of, again, as I've been saying a lot, I love when they take stuff from Power Rangers and they change it and put it in their own way. And this is kind of just like, they did that, but I don't think it worked just because, like, it's just the suits don't work with the story, I think. That being said, the story, like, individually, the suits in the story are pretty good. I like the suits. I feel like they're it kind of has that whole thing with Wild Force, where I just see this weird animal, this weird eagle going looking at me. But I like the RPM suits. I also really like the Megazords. G12, I mean, everyone talks about G12. They were just like, let's stick everything together, and they did, and it's really cool. So oh yeah, the Go Onger reference was so funny. As a kid, I didn't know that, of course, but there's a van called Go Onger, and in Japan, ooh, this is called Go Onger, haha, gone. So, I mean, where to begin with RPM? It's it definitely, like, again, the story is really mature. Like, I really love how, like, they do the post-apocalyptic thing, but then, like, there are some episodes where they just spend the entire episode with the backstory of a character. Like, there's, like, the Ranger Red episode, where it's just, like, how was Scott before he became Red Ranger and Ranger Yellow? How was Summer before she became Ranger Yellow? Like, those episodes are really cool. They're honestly, like, it's one of the things I just remember about RPM because it was so unique. Just kind of like spending this whole episode with the character in the past because you set up this whole thing with the post-apocalyptic thing. And of course we had the main character whose name I can't remember, but like he's our intro character to Corinth and all that. So it gives us like a logical way to see how these other characters got in their positions. Why the post-apocalypse thing? Because someone said because why not? But like I feel like it worked into the story because it let us see these characters in a new way when we look at their backstory, because it's not like Scott before he was a Power Ranger, he was mean with his dad and they didn't get along. But like, or like Summer before she was a Power Ranger, she was an asshole. But it was like we get to see like ground zero. Like we got to see Scott, Summer, Finn before they became not just before they became Power Rangers, but we got to see this whole ground zero aspect of everything, and I thought that was really cool. And that's also, I mean, that's really I feel like they did post-apocalypse as well because that's how they could get the most out of their budget, because this feels like a whole new show from Go Onger. I don't know anything about Go Onger, but like, I mean, like you got most of this feels like American footage, like all these big sets, all this stuff. It was really cool. So Venjix, yeah, he's Venjix. Venjix was the villain, and that was about it. But I think Venjix was more interesting when you look at his interaction with, well, I don't think he interacted with Dr. K at all, right? But Dr. K is really cool as a character because, like, I mean, for like X amount of episodes, I don't know, they just have her as this weird voice in the wall that's talking to them, and then they're like, oh no, she's a person, and then she comes out of the wall and she's just a character in the entire show now, and like that was really cool. I thought that was a really interesting, just like a really interesting minor twist. And then you have Ziggy as well, and I don't remember if their relationship was like naturally built up. I can't remember, but Ziggy is also really great as just the accidental ranger. But I also think it was really great how him and Dylan come in together, and then they're like the two outsider rangers, like aesthetically. Like the main three obviously have this whole setup with their motifs, but then all these other rangers have this setup with their motifs, and then obviously Ziggy and Dylan have this differentiation with the motif as well, which I think fits because they came in on their own. So RPM is just, and I mean there's more to it as well, like oh yeah, there we go, Dylan and the whole thing with Tenaya 7, that was a really interesting thing as well. Like I guess I didn't really touch on it because I didn't really know how to put it, but like it's really interesting how the main three rangers like are already established. I don't know if that was a thing in Go Onger, so I'm just kind of going off what I know here, but I think it's really interesting how the Black Ranger is the main character, really, but he's not the Red Ranger, he's not the leader, he's number 4 of the team, but he's definitively the main character. Like he's the story that we see when we come into the season. So I don't know, that's really unique. Like RPM is just really unique in the grand scheme of Power Rangers, but it's done really well in the grand scheme of Power Rangers. Like there's a reason everyone loves RPM. Like even if it's not your favorite, I would, like, it's not my favorite obviously, but like I love RPM. I think it's great. So like it's just, and like even to my negative earlier where it's just like the suits and the aesthetics don't really match, just because of, I mean, it's honestly just because of the times that they were in, like, oh, well, we gotta adapt Go Onger. We have this really badass story, but I guess we have these wacky aesthetics which work well on their own. But even then, they still have this, they still worked it into the story, I feel. Well, not the story, but, like, they poked fun at it. Like, I mean, yep, there you go. That's not spandex. I hate that line because I can't call them spandex anymore when they are clearly wearing spandex because of that line. But, I mean, that's an iconic line. That's not spandex, but, you know, they're wearing spandex. There's a whole... I think they mentioned a thing with, like, the eyes. I love the scene where Ziggy's like, when we transform, why is there an explosion behind us? And she's like, Dr. K's like, oh, that's like residual energy. And Ziggy's like, okay, but I don't want to die. And it's really funny. So like it pokes fun at the aesthetics in Power Rangers. And it has these wacky Power Rangers aesthetics. So like it even still fits with that by poking fun at it. And I don't know how it does it. RPM, you're a bunch of mad lads, and I think it worked great. So obviously then we have the legendary MMPR Redux, which I've never seen. I have seen a single second of it, but I've never watched a full episode of that in my life, and I don't want to. So we're gonna skip over that. So now we have Samurai. So Samurai is actually my introduction to Power Rangers. So I have known, when I was young, I knew about Power Rangers. As I've said, I had the Mystic Force Morpher, and I had the Yellow Ranger as a toy with like his bike. I think I got the Red Ranger actually at some point, and then I had an Overdrive Red figure, I believe, with like a weird weapon thing, and then I had an RPM Gold thing as well, but like I never watched those seasons as they were airing. But Samurai, I was on Netflix, because I had Netflix, and I was like, Power Rangers Samurai, I know Power Rangers, I'm gonna watch. This is the voice of me as a child. I'm gonna watch Power Rangers. So I watched it, and I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. I don't know, something about, I mean, like, I loved samurais and ninjas, like, that kind of stuff was really cool, so it was like, whoa, they're fighting with swords against monster, and the monster grows, and they get in robots to fight monster. It was really cool to me, and I still think it's really cool. I love the Shinkenger aesthetics. I think I said, like, if they make, like the one Lightning Collection weapon I'd want them to make is a spin sword. Like, I love the spin sword as an idea, because it's just like you stick the disc on it, you spin it, and it makes this image, but it's not like complex imagery or sounds. It's just it's chrome. It reflects the picture, and it's super funny. And this my love for Samurai. I love Samurai. That's, yeah, we're throwing that out there. I know it's dumb, I know it's stupid, but like, it's just nostalgic for me, really. And like, I know it's like a literal adaptation of Shinkenger, where it's literally like beat for beat the same show, and they just changed the characters to Americans, like all of them, well, except the Pink Ranger. Like, to the point where, like, in Japan, Gold is a sushi man, or a sushi maker, whatever you call that, sushi chef. But here they're like fisherman, because that's American sushi, I guess. So, like, it's beat for beat the same thing, really. So I think the overlying story is fine of Samurai. I feel like people wonder, like, Samurai's awful. It's just because the acting's really dumb. But, like, the story's fine because it's the same as Shinkenger. So I want to point out, because I have it right next to me. I'm still right here. Where did it go? Here it is. So I'm not sure if you can hear this, but I have a book next to me, and it's the Super Samurai official guide that I got, I think, after Super Samurai aired, but like, I got it during Super Samurai, but I didn't watch it on TV, and I was waiting for it to go on Netflix. So I just had this book with like everything about everyone. Antonio, the Gold Ranger, is the most outgoing and playful samurai of the group. Unlike the others, he never received any formal samurai training, like stuff like that. It has a list of all the monsters. The furry warts, is that what they're called? Furry warts are little echo spirits that live on the Xandred's ship. All right, sure, they have their own write up, but like I had this book and I read it all the time, and because it was Super Samurai, I haven't seen Super Samurai yet, so I'm like, Serrator? Who the hell is Serrator? What is Super Mega Mode? Super Mega Mode? Where can I see that? I think the Gigazord's in here, and I'm like, Gigazord? Where's the Gigazord? I watched Super Samurai 2, and I was like, finally I get to see all this stuff. So aesthetically, as I said, I love everything. I love the Super Samurai Megazord because it's just a mess. I'm not gonna dance like it's a mess. If you hate it, you hate it because it is a mess. But I love it because it's a mess. But also like I know this is the start of cockpit footage, which is terrible. But I think for Super Samurai, at least this worked because it wasn't like, all right, guys, we're gonna put a chest plate on you and you're a new form. Like, no, they designed a whole ass new suit that looks really cool. And then they even like translated it over to the other power ups. Like, it got changed slightly for Super Samurai mode, and etc. etc. Like, I thought that was really cool. And Shogun form is really cool as well. I love the look of that. Probably one of my favorite battleizers, if you count it as a battleizer, because it kind of is a battleizer, right? It's an American exclusive thingy doodle. So yeah, I mean, I don't really remember much of Samurai. Okay, the cockpits should have been like their Super Samurai counterpart. This is the one where I feel like they had maybe to change it because it had, well, okay, Samurai, maybe they didn't have to because their whole thing was the katakana now, or is it kanji? I don't know Japanese. But they had the scriptomancy, and like they just translated that over because they had to, I guess. So I feel like they could have kept that for the cockpit, but we got Super Samurai mode. I don't think, is it that much of a loss? In Dino Charge, I don't think I think they needed to because it said Kyoryujin in the cockpit, but that's a different debate. So Samurai, Super Samurai, yeah, I can see they're not good for me. It's just like nostalgia. Like, I'm here now because talking to over almost 50 of you because I watched these two shows as a kid. So yeah, I never had any Samurai toys though, so I'm so sad. So, oh yeah, Decker. What did they do? They hired Cole back, and they're like, we're gonna make you an evil dude with a sword, and sword. I don't know. Decker's kind of weird. Actually, I do love how like this shows how much of a translation they wanted Samurai to be, where Decker wears the exact same clothes as Juzo in Shinkenger, and like he has the same beard, he has the same hair. Like, they literally, like, it literally, you look at Juzo's actor and you look at Decker's actor, and it's literally the same dude, just American, and it's so funny. I never thought of that, but yeah, that's really that's Samurai in a nutshell. Juzo to Decker is like basically Samurai. So yeah, that's Samurai. I love the aesthetics. I love the whole. I want Lightning Collection Samurai stuff. I will probably buy those. I don't know why. Though, yeah, I don't know. I just kind of lost my mind. I'm like, wait, it's just the same person, but he's American now. Um, so after Samurai is, this little season of Power Rangers. This is a really unknown season of Power Rangers. So no one really talks about this season. That's true. Samurai didn't have Shinken Brown. So Shinkender, yeah, is definitely better for that. So there's after Samurai, they had this one season called what does it say? There's Megaforce, and after that was a season called Super Megaforce. So most people don't really talk about these seasons at all. It's just kind of a thing that was there. Yeah. We'll move on. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so I guess I kind of skipped over Samurai, didn't I? But so Samurai obviously is the start of the Super season, which, in fairness, I don't think they didn't really have a choice there. It was, I think there's something in Nickelodeon's contract with other shows where they have to make a season 20 episodes. I don't know why, but apparently that's what they have to do. So we have super seasons now, and it's only called a super season for like the marketing, because now it's not like, oh, Power Rangers 2. It's like, oh, Power Rangers Super Samurai. So super seasons are weird. I don't like super seasons, but like, I don't know, they kind of had to do them. So I hate it because of like the gap. There's actually, I think there's a longer gap between a season of Power Rangers than there is between super seasons now, but that's besides the point. You can see I'm clearly just trying not to talk about Megaforce. So Megaforce is really funny because it kind of got me out of Power Rangers, and then Dino Charge got me back, but it also got me into Sentai. And this is not a joke. I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't like Megaforce episode 1, not because of like characters like, oh, this is the same as Power Rangers season 1. It was because it was the same theme song as Samurai. That is, as young me saw the premiere of Megaforce after having watched all of Samurai, after loving all of Samurai, and like I was honest to God like, ooh, I'm so excited to hear the theme song for Megaforce. That's the same theme song as Samurai. Like, I don't know, does that mean something if a young child is realizing that a show doesn't like a show because it has the same theme song as another show, and acknowledging that like they change theme songs every single season? I don't know if that means anything to anyone, but yeah, I thought that was dumb. I still think it's dumb, to be quite honest. So I think what's really interesting here is Megaforce on its own is, a lot of people say it's a good season, or like an okay season on its own, and I'm not here to dispute that because I don't really remember much of either of these seasons. But I think Megaforce is a really interesting example of what they could have done during the Nickelodeon shows, how they could have done like just these 20 episode seasons that are really tight knit. You cover all your bases. You like don't mess around. There's no filler. It's all plot. Like, I've started watching Ultraman. Just as a quick tangent, I started watching Ultraman, and there are only 25 episode seasons, and there's like one clip show in it that I think develops the plot. I don't remember, but like that's what Power Rangers could have become. Just like a small 20 episode season, but like it's all plot. It's all character development. Like, everything is meant to fit together as this little tight-knit season. That's what they could have done. That's what they kind of did in Megaforce, except they didn't because they left it on a cliffhanger. So, yeah, but like Megaforce is like a fast-paced season, works well on its own. I think, from what I remember, just like the idea, I think that kind of worked out. And it's all as most people say, it feels like they just skipped the Super Megaforce because they wanted to use the Gokaiger suits and they wanted to use past Ranger footage. But it's like really funny because Megaforce is the 25th anniversary and Super Megaforce isn't. So they like rushed this whole thing to get their 25th anniversary suits. But again, like if they just tried to do that tight-knit story thing, you have Samurai 1 year, Super Samurai is replaced by Megaforce, and Super Megaforce as a separate show is now your 25th anniversary. Just throwing that out there if they wanted to do that. So obviously they didn't, but yeah, here we are. So I think I don't think they shouldn't have mixed the suits because they've done that before. Like the legacy of Power Rangers is quite literally the MMPR suits using 3 different Sentai footage Zord segments. Like that's literally always been Power Rangers. So I think they just should have done that again. Like the Megaforce Morpher, they sold this trading card game with it that had all these cards for past Rangers, and it made sounds in the Morpher. Like if you put in a Red Ranger, it's like Jungle Fury Red, because it was the 25th anniversary, but they didn't do it in the show. So like they should have just done that for Super Megaforce. Like you don't bring in the Gokaiger suits. I guess you have to bring in the whole Megazord because you have to. But you could just have the Megaforce suits turn into those past Rangers with the Megaforce Morpher. Right? Your toys did that. They did that in the toy line. So I don't know why they didn't try to do that again. So yeah, I don't and to bring it back to Dino Thunder, I was about to say Fury. This is like doing Dino Thunder bad, which is to say this is kind of like copying MMPR, like, ooh, Ernie's juice bar, but it's a different Ernie. Actually, I don't say this is copying it bad, but like, because I don't really remember it, but like, it is clearly just trying to copy MMPR, whereas Dino Thunder is copying it. It is not copying it. Dino Thunder is more of a, can I copy your homework? Yeah, but make it different. Megaforce is kind of just, can I copy your homework? Yeah. I don't care what you do with it. Yeah, and I mean, just the way they just ignored the gimmick or the themes as well of the Sentai seasons. Like again, RPM kind of ignores it, but it pokes fun at like, ooh, look, the Zords have eyes on them, and like, ooh, it's not spandex, and ooh, explosions. Whereas this, it's like, the angel power. No, he's just. I mean, to be fair, the angel theme isn't really prominent in Megaforce, but like, why are they pirates? Why did they just become pirates? Why no one was like, Gosei, why the hell are we pirates now? No, they're just pirates. They don't care. they're pirates now. I don't like that at all. It's really dumb, and I mean, I'm not even going to talk about the Legendary Battle. I've seen the Legendary Battle. It's a thing that exists. it's there. I don't. Yeah. I had something else to say as well. Oh yeah, it's like there's so much they could have done with Megaforce though. Like Super Megaforce. I mean, Megaforce is fine, but Super Megaforce, like again, either like because they keep the Megaforce powers. Ghost is just like, oh shoot, they're invading. I guess you can have the pirate phone now, and now you're pirates. But they still have the Megaforce Morpher. So as a kid, I was even like, why are they using the Megaforce powers when they have Super Megaforce? Huh? Like, even that, it's kind of dumb, and I feel like that was kind of them, like, I want to say that was them using Sentai footage of the Gokaigers turning into Ghost Sagers, but they were like, oh, it's just them morphing with their normal suits. But then I think that's what they did. If they had Ghost Sager keys or Megaforce keys as Super Megaforce, that's kind of weird. And also, I know that there's a simple explanation for that. And again, as a kid, I actually was like, oh, okay, there's a simple explanation. Why the hell is he green now? And then they never explain it. You had Megaforce, Super Megaforce. Listen, I'm going to ignore everything else, every other problem in this. And there's still something else I just remembered I want to talk about with Super Megaforce. But, like, all I wanted as a child was to know, what was the simple explanation for that? That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted. That's the one mystery you set up in this show. That's all I wanted to know. And we don't know. We were never told by Gosei why like that's all I wanted to know. Sorry, this is really emotional. I'm not even kidding. Like, I honestly, my biggest problem was like in the finale, I was like, oh, we're finally gonna get the simple explanation for that. And they did it, and I'm like, really? Like, honestly, I would have given the season mad props if they had there's a simple explanation as like a joke at the end. Like, what's his name, Jake? Like, Gosei, what was the simple explanation for that? And he's like, well, Jake, you see, we are adapted from a Japanese show known as Super Sentai, and you are a combination of two Super Sentai teams, Goseiger and Gokaiger. Gokaiger does not have a Black Ranger because it clashes with the undersuit. That is the simple explanation. That's not really simple, but... Or, I mean, the simple explanation could have been something like, Jake, the black suit would not have mixed with the black undersuit. Like that would have been funny, but that didn't happen. And I'll never... Megaforce, Super Megaforce, I will never forgive you for that. So that's why I hate Super Megaforce. Why do you hate Super Megaforce? What's your logical reason for hating Super Megaforce compared to my bullcrap explanation for why I don't like it? Actually, I will say I don't like the new powers. As a kid, I was like I wasn't like, whoa, new powers. Maybe this is because I was a boring kid. I was like, what the hell is this? Why does he have a broom? Why is he smacking the monsters with a broom? Like, I was confused. And now that I know what what's going on with the new powers, the new legendary powers, which is not what legendary means. Like, they had an opportunity there to make the season interesting. Which I'll get to in a second. Thank you, JamCalX, for the $5 super chat. They could have lost the Gosei power, gained the pirate suits a la Zio, and then regained the Gosei suit keys when reflecting on their growth over the seasons. I mean, that alone is a really good idea. Like, exactly. Like, if you're trying to reference MMPR and you're switching suits, like, yeah, literally just reference Zio. Like, if you're going to copy paste MMPR, copy paste one of the most interesting parts where they lose the powers and have to take on new, more powerful powers. And there you go. But no, they just keep the Ghost Sager powers for some reason. I like the idea too of having the Ghost suit keys. They come back to them at the end, so then you can have the footage of them in their Megaforce powers, which would be a return to them actually being their normal power set, because we know that's their normal power set. I really like that idea, but no, they're just gonna become pirates because Gosei had a pirate bunker or something. He didn't have a pirate bunker. That's a lie. But I think they could have done something with the new powers. Like, you could have had the season. Now, I think this would have been dumb because it's an anniversary, but you could have done something with, like, explaining the new powers. So, I'm going to talk about the comics, but let's take a diversion. In the comics, they've retconned I think Supersonic, I think, is the name of the team. I don't know the Sentai name, but you hopefully know what I'm talking about. They retcon one of the new power teams of Super Megaforce, which was originally a Sentai exclusive team. They retcon it as a Power Rangers team, right? That is a team that existed before or at the same time as MMPR. They give it its own Sixth Ranger, okay? And they have this Sixth Ranger betray the team. They all get killed, and now that Ranger becomes Psycho Green, which is a comics exclusive Ranger. You could have 5-man. Okay, thank you. Supersonic was 5-man. So they took 5-man, made a little comic, just one issue of 5-man, and they gave it its own Sixth Ranger, and they made him Psycho Green. You could have done something like, they gave all these teams names. Like, do an episode where, like, the Squadron team, which is, I think, Die Ranger, do something with, like, Squadron, like, if they go to the planet where Squadron was, and it's destroyed by the Empire, or whatever it's called, and now they get the Squadron power. I don't know, like, they have just all the powers, like, as well. Like, I don't know, there's just, you know, I'm not really giving any new thoughts on Super Megaforce, but I think at least you could have done something with, like, here are the new legendary powers, but it's like, they have to get those legendary powers from, like, other Power Rangers teams or something, but they didn't. So that's how I think you could fix Super Megaforce. Some people are like, we need to redo Super Megaforce. No, it's done. I don't think we need to revisit it in that aspect. I think they should just do more of, like, what 5-man did, or what they did with 5-man in Supersonic, and make, like, make just, like, an issue in, like, the comics or something. Like, you can make a mini series where each issue focuses on the new powers teams and what happened to them. Like again, this one got betrayed by their own Sixth Ranger, and now it's Psycho Green. You could say, like, Squadron was defeated by the Machine Empire, and that's why, or you could say something with, like, the Thunder Zords being their Zords, and then they got defeated by Rita, and that's why Zordon, or by Zed, sorry, and that's why Zordon has the Thunder Zords. I don't know, something like that, but they didn't. So I hope that's what Boom does in the future, do something with those teams. I would really love that. But afterwards is Dino Charge, which got me into, made me realize what Sentai and Power Rangers is, because I think when Dino Charge was announced, I was like, that looks kind of familiar, and I discovered Kyoryuger, because I'd seen Kyoryuger from, like, a reviewer that I watched, so I was like, wait, that's Japanese Power Rangers, but this is Power Rangers, what's going on here? So yeah, that's how I discovered what the hell Sentai is. So Dino Charge, again, I kind of have some nostalgia for Dino Charge, because it kind of got me into Sentai, got me back into Power Rangers, since I was kind of out of it with Megaforce, Super Megaforce. I have, like, the main 6 Dino Charge Zords from, like, this Toys R Us pack. I had been looking for the Titano Charge Megazord, and I never bought it, and that will probably be my biggest regret in life, because I really love the Dino Charge aesthetics as well. And I mean, again, like, I feel like a lot of Dino Charge has, like, a lot of people have said their part on Dino Charge. Dino Charge is good. Super Dino Charge is bad. Like, I mean, that's what everyone says. I think it's pretty, I mean, I kind of agree. I think this is one of the most interesting examples of the super season aspect, where they designed Dino Charge Season 1 as its own thing. Like, it ends, with the exception of the little hint at the end that it hasn't ended. So then you get the super season, which continues that, which like they didn't really need to because they gave it an ending. So again, that's kind of where like the weird Dino Charge thing or Super Season thing comes in. But at least for Samurai and Super Megaforce, they both just treated it as like like this one ongoing story, which is obviously what Dino Charge is doing. But at least it's more interesting that Dino Charge Season 1 kind of has a definitive ending and works on its own, with the exception of the one, now it's my turn. And speaking of which, I think Heckle's probably one of my favorite Power Rangers villains, just because like when he first appeared, I think because I was learning about Sentai and all that, I was like, whoa, is he gonna be the Silver Ranger? Because he has like the Xenowing neckerchief color, like the colors on his neckerchief were like Xenowing colors, so I thought he would be like silver. I think it was really interesting how they set up all 10 Rangers by saying like, you know, there's the 10 Energems, like I'm sure they've done that in another season, but at least for like the previous 2 seasons, like the 6th Ranger kind of comes out of nowhere, but here they set up all 10 Rangers at the beginning, and that's really cool. And I like how they kind of cycle in the other Rangers as well, like not Sir Ivan, Prince Philip just kind of comes and goes because he's a prince. I think Xenowing stays. So, but Kendall doesn't always transform because she's the Purple Ranger. I do agree with this. Why did they waste their money on making Keeper? Xenowing should have been the mentor. Or just make Keeper the Silver Ranger, and don't use Xenowing. But yeah, I think Keeper should have been... Either Keeper should have been the Silver Ranger, Keeper either should have been Xenowing and the Silver Ranger, or Xenowing and the Silver Ranger should have been Keeper. And I think it's actually easier to just get rid of Keeper and have it as Xenowing, because then you can keep the whole evil Xenowing storyline, which I don't really remember much about, except that they're evil. Well, I don't remember his name, the evil guy's name, but I mean, other than that, I don't really have too many thoughts on Dino Charge. I do Kendall, actually, I think from like episode 1, because for the first time I like knew about Sentai, and then I knew about Dino Charge Purple, or the Purple Ranger. Like, I think I immediately was like, oh, Kendall, that's definitely gonna be the Purple Ranger, and it was. So I predicted something for once, something I haven't done in a while. Since that day, actually, I have not predicted a single thing correctly. Who's Omageo? Nope, that didn't work. How Soga becomes Omageo? Nope, that didn't work. The Kier Major thing I made recently? Nope. The Geizolg thing, that still hasn't been disputed, so but yeah. As I said, I love the aesthetics as well. The Dino Charge Zords are really cool. The suits are really cool. The Super Dino mode stuff is spiky, not spiky. It's spiky, and I think it's really cool as well. Everything just looks really cool. I love the the Gold Ranger Zord is really cool. Dino Charge Gold Zord, I don't remember. So, Sledge. Sledge was fun. That is my entire idea on Sledge. Actually, to touch on the villains, in season 1, obviously, they were really good. Sledge is a lot of fun. The other cast was a lot of fun as well. I think it was funny, him and Poisandra are getting married or something. Sorry, my throat feels weird now. But, I think, what's his name in season 2, I can't remember, Arcanon, there you go, Arcanon. I think Arcanon as an idea is really interesting, where you have this other villain set, but it's like a higher order villain set. Like, this is the guy that hired Sledge to get all these monsters and all the Energems and all the but it didn't really work. It wasn't like, oh my god, this is the guy that hired Sledge. It was just like, oh, you hired Sledge? Okay. Aight then. Was Doomwing in Kyoryuger, or was he in the original? I lost track of how to say that, but Doomwing was in Kyoryuger. But the relationship between him and Zenwing was completely different in Kyoryuger, I believe. So that's another original. The idea of what Doomwing was in Dino Charge was original, but the suit itself is not original. And I briefly mentioned Heckle, but I love Heckle and Snide. Like that whole the way they both work, where you have Snide is this just like brute force. Like Snide is the hammer, and Heckle is like the knife. I think that's how that goes, right? That whole dynamic between the two of them was really great. I loved Heckle as like just the way he manipulated the Rangers to try to figure out their base, and then he did, and then he forgot, and that was kind of dumb. And then his redemption as well was really great. And then the thing everyone talks about, he should have been Talon Ranger, and I agree. Should have been well. Now he's Dark Ranger, so. Why did they use the Neo Zeltrax costume for Snide? Because it looked cool. But yeah, he should have been Talon Ranger. Like, they bought the movie footage to bring in the Spinozord. So, check, you have your Spinozord. What Energem should power the Spinozord? Oh, we'll make it a Dark Energem. Okay, check. All the Rangers have their own Zord, their own Energem. Okay, we have a new Zord without a Ranger suit, because Shelby makes it. We have an Energem without a Ranger counterpart. Okay, who should become the Ranger? What about the guy that has the redemption arc that was evil, like the Dark Energem, has a history with the Dark Energem, has had a redemption arc, much like the Dark Energem, kind of, sort of. Wore a Spinosaurus tag when you worked at the cafe, and there's a Spinosaurus Zord. Heckle, there's literally all this foreshadowing to make Heckle the Dark Ranger, but it never happened. So, and yes, at least Boom Studios, the comics, again, bringing up the comics, they expanded on the lore of this season and gave us Heckle as Dark Ranger. So technically, that is now a suit that exists in Power Rangers canon, and now they can make a figure of it. So there you go. The prophecy is fulfilled. Dark Ranger, Talon Ranger, Death Ryuger, that's the name. It exists in lore, and now you can make it. It was a huge mistake for using the new Zeltrax costume for Snide. I don't really see how. They used it. It was a thing. So Dino Charge is cool. I know the finale is kind of dumb. I will agree. Dinosaur Zoo. That's it. That's my piece on it. They kind of copied it in Avengers Endgame though, where they defeat a version of the main villain from the past because they killed that main villain in the future already in a really weird way. I just noticed that. Take that as you will. So Ninja Steel, Super Ninja Steel. I hate this. I don't like this. So this is again Saban, whoever, being like, let's just copy and paste MMPR. But like, Megaforce was the anniversary, so like, you can let it slide. That was kind of the whole gimmick. But like, here it was just like, they're in high school because they're in high school. Like, there was no reason for them to be in high school, and like, there was some really weird stuff with like Levi. I think like, he's this famous singer, right? But like, he just is at this high school for no reason. And like, Levi, like, season 1 of Ninja Steel is already really weird, like, because you have this setup where it's like Space Ninja and whatever, and then which is already kind of copies and pastes Dino Charge with like the Energems, but now they're ninja stars, which I will admit is interesting. I do like how they incorporated the end star from Ninja. I like how they made that like the main star here, and then they split it into the 6 Ranger stars. That's a really clever thing. I'll give them that. And I think the idea of like the weird Galaxy Warriors fight was interesting. But like I don't know, I just didn't. I was bored with Ninja Steel. I didn't really like with Megaforce. There was so much. Like here's why this is my least favorite season of Power Rangers. With Megaforce and Super Megaforce, there's so much they could have done, but like I don't know. There was that whole discussion we just had with Megaforce, Super Megaforce. Like there's a lot they could have done. There's a lot to talk about with Megaforce and Super Megaforce. That's wrong. That's done completely wrong. But like, at least it's something there that could have been done with. But like here, it's just kind of like, I don't. For me personally, of course, this is all my opinion. But for me, it's just like, oh, okay, it's just Ninja Steel is just a thing. It's just really really boring for me. Like Levi is really like I do appreciate the one story arc where they had what's his name. Levi, the brother. I just forgot. Him and Brody were like, they had this fake Levi as a robot, and like they actually believed it was Levi for a couple episodes, and then then they said he was the fake Levi. Or no, I think. So they brought in. Oh, his name was Aiden. Okay, so let me restart. They had Levi introduced as the Gold Ranger, which was kind of obvious the second he debuted because it's a Cowboy Ranger. And then they introduced Aiden as Brody's brother, which was set up in the beginning. And they're like, is it really his brother? And then I think they established that, yes, this is his brother. So it's like, okay, cool. And then later they have the whole thing where it's not really his brother and it's a robot, and then he's sad, and then they're like, surprise, Levi's really his brother, which was I think that was actually really interesting. But then like they keep calling him Levi, which is really weird. Like that's his brother he's been looking for years, but now his name is just Levi. He's just gonna call himself Levi now. His name is Aiden, though. He like acknowledges this. That alone is like really weird. And Super Ninja Steel is like basically more of the same. Like it's just like, oh, okay, that's true. Yeah, they had the whole thing with like the dad. They brought the dad back in the finale, and then the dad is just gone in Super Ninja Steel. And like they even had the whole thing with like Mick and the dad becoming Rangers. And then they never do anything with that again. I do like Mick though, because he's the same actor as Boom. No, I do like how he kind of was like. There was that one episode where he was like, he was like doing this. He taught Sarah like the lesson of the day, but he did it like subtly by like kind of showing her what she was doing wrong, and she's like, "Why are you doing that?" Oh wait, that's what I'm doing. Woohoo. I liked that. So Super Ninja Steel, I never finished Super Ninja Steel because the hiatus happened, which is really dumb. But then like the episodes came back, and I was just like, I didn't really like this season. Like I don't want to put the effort into just watching the season. I don't care enough about anything in the show. I'm not gonna watch Super Ninja Steel. So I never watched Dimensions in Danger, which people say is really good. So I'm probably just gonna watch Dimensions in Danger on its own, maybe today because it's Power Rangers Day. But I've never seen it, and I'm probably just gonna, if I ever watch it, I'll just watch it on its own because I don't want to watch. I don't like Ninja Steel, and I don't want to watch Ninja Steel. So yeah, that's that. Also, okay, two minor things I just want to talk about Ninja Steel one more time. Vera, I think that's her name. The dino, no, not the lion girl in the armor. I think it was interesting how her armor becomes the Red Ranger power up, but like the whole episode where that happens, Brody just gets the armor. I don't even remember how it happened, but like the whole episode was like a Sarah focus episode, and I think it might have been, I think she might have given a power star to Sarah, but then Sarah gave it to Brody for no reason, and then he uses it, and now it just steals the armor, and he had no reason to have it. That was really stupid. And actually that happened again in that one episode where like Brody is like framed for something in his class, and then like he says like, no, I didn't do it, and the teacher's like, you stood up for yourself, I'm proud of you, here's my family heirloom. Oh, okay. I don't even have, yeah, this is coming from the guy that loves ninjas. I hate Ninja Steel. I don't like it. And that I don't want to talk about it anymore. I've said my piece. So let's talk about, I've kind of ranted about that one episode in the past, and I kind of don't want to talk about it anymore. So Beast Morphers, Hasbro era, technically not really, because this was apparently made under Saban, but it was aired when Hasbro owned the brand. But so I'm going to talk about Beast Morphers Season 1 and the Season 2 episodes that have aired. I'm not going to talk about the second half of Season 2 right now. I'm going to talk about it. I will let you know when I talk about it. So if you don't want those spoilers, I won't spoil it for you. I'll like give you a whole thing like, oh, okay, I'm talking about it, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I really love Beast Morphers Season 1. I've said this before, but like, I love how they looked at, like, this is what I love about Power Rangers. They looked at Go Busters and they were like, okay, so there's this Dark Ranger suit and there's this evil girl, Escape. So what if we took Escape and painted her yellow, like our Yellow Ranger, and we made them evil Rangers? Okay. And we make them full bosses in the season. Like, I don't know, I love that. That is so cool. That is, like, to be completely honest, that is what spawned the Sentai Potential part of, or the aesthetics part of both Sentai Potential and later Rider Potential. Just the fact that they were like, let's repaint this whole suit, make it an evil Yellow Ranger, and combine it with the suit that already exists as this evil Red Ranger. I love that. Like, that, in my opinion, is good adaptation writing. That's how you write a Power Ranger story, and it's really cool. So, Fire Drake Burst, it seems like you don't like any season of Power Rangers. I feel like you've complained about every season that I've talked about, which is interesting. But I don't know how this season compares to Go Busters. I think Go Busters might be better, from what I've heard, and there's some things that I've personally noticed in this season. Like, actually, also, I want to point out, I do want to do a then to now review for Beast Morphers when Season 2 finishes in, like, October or whenever that happens. We'll see if that happens, because I've got a lot of other videos I kind of want to work on as well. And the Power Rangers videos are always hard to do because Hasbro copyright claims like every piece of footage of Power Rangers, but we'll see what happens there. But overall, Beast Morphers is really, I really like it. It's certainly a step up from the Neo Saban season. It's probably on like the same level as Dino Charge. Good or better, I don't know, but I think it's a good step up. So Gold and Silver, I love Gold and Silver here. Nate and Steel, fantastic. Steel, I think they just like copy and pasted Beat J Stag from Go Busters, but the clips I've seen of Beat J Stag are also fantastic. So I don't really mind. I love Steel. He's probably my favorite Ranger in Beast Morphers, because he's just a lot of fun. His interactions with Nate are great. That rhymes. Now, Roxy and Blaze. someone pointed out they wish they became the 6th and 7th Rangers. In season 2, they just disappear. Like, they were the whole emotional anchor of Ravi as a Ranger. It gave this rivalry with Devon. But then in season 2, it goes away. Like, as characters, they go away. And it kind of makes everything... It kind of lessens everything. Because it's not... we lose that emotional anchor of this character that should have... These two characters that should have been Rangers. They've been saved. And they just disappear. And they just have clones that just... are the same characters. That was a massive step down. Season 2, I think, the first half, is a step down from season 1 just because of that alone. It kind of lost a lot of that momentum with the villains. Scrozzle was great. Scrozzle's like great consistently throughout the whole show, so there's that at least. And I like the Evox Mayor Daniels thing that's going on. In season 2, I think that was a good replacement for Blaze and Roxy as these emotional anchors with the villains, but I don't think it was as strong because it wasn't as prominent, and it only matters for like 2 episodes. So so 2 things. Ben and Buddy are bad. Yeah, they're kind of annoying. And Victor and Monty, that's how much I hate Victor and Monty. I completely blocked them out for Ninja Steel. And I still didn't like Ninja Steel. So that's really interesting. I don't like Victor and Monty. I don't like Ben and Betty because it's clearly they're like, okay, what if we did Bulk and Skull, but they're the exact same characters. Thoughts on Beast X mode and the Beast X Morpher. Beast X mode is just cool. The Beast X Morpher is fine as well. They're things that are in the show. The aesthetics are fine. I don't really mind any of these aesthetics. People are like, they're my favorite in Power Rangers, and I'm like, yeah, I can see that. But I don't love them. So season 2, I'm gonna talk about season 2. I have an image on the screen that's like the Dino team up or whatever. So basically, when that image is gone, I will, you can come back. I'll be done talking about the spoilers. I'm hopefully only going to take like a few minutes to talk about the spoilers, because the spoilers are just, because it's half of a season. It's only 10 episodes, and there's only like 5 episodes that are of note. So they're the image is on the screen. Leave now if you don't want spoilers. And then when the image changes, spoilers are done. So the second half of season 2 is so much better than the first half of season 2, because this is kind of what I always wanted for Power Rangers. The first 5 episodes lead up to the Dino team up, but it's like they work as individual episodes. Like the Chaku arc, the episode 1, it's a 2-part arc, but episode 1 functioned as like its own episode. Like it had a beginning, middle, end, and it wasn't like a cliffhanger, which is fine. I don't hate cliffhangers, but like it worked as its own episode. Episode 2 worked as its own episode, really, but obviously it's the second part of this ongoing story. Then the Dino Charge mini crossover obviously is a continuation again of the Chaku 2-parter, but it still worked as its own episode, as its own individual episode. Like I love that. I really want Dino Fury. This is like basically my one hope for Dino Fury. I want more stuff like that, where each episode can function on its own, but it still fits into this larger narrative. The Dino team up itself, it was a Dino team up. the build up to the Dino team up was much cooler than the Dino team up itself, in my opinion. I don't think they should have used the Dino team up this season, because now this could be because they weren't planning on adapting Ryusoulger. Like Ryusoulger, we may not have known it existed when they were filming this, but if they did, so let's just say they did, okay, because I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they didn't know. I think they should have saved this team up for Dino Fury, so then you have a 4-way dinosaur team up of 4 dinosaur seasons, but you also have the team up with the previous season of Beast Morphers. I don't know, that makes much more sense to me than Beast Morphers just randomly teaming up with Dino Charge and the other 3 Dino seasons, whereas in Japan, obviously, it was Kuryuger Go Busters team up because Kuryuger was the previous season. Go Busters was the previous season, I think. I don't know. They were... Go Busters. Go Busters was the previous season. So it was a Go Busters Dino Kuryuger team up, but they brought in the other Dino seasons because Dino seasons. But they didn't do that here. It's just randomly Beast Morphers. Oh, hey, Dino Charge is here. Oh, yeah, there are some other heroes here as well. I don't know. I think if they knew they were adapting Ryusoulger, which they may not have known, so there's that, I think they should have saved it for the Dino Fury season. So now the ending, I love the ending. I think the ending's really cool. The big twist is obviously incorporating Evox as Venjix, which is super cool. Like, because that is what people have been speculating they would do for years. Like, as people, I think some people have said that Dino Charge, sorry, not Dino Charge, when Go Busters was announced, Go Busters, people were like, oh, is this going to be the Dino or the RPM sequel in Power Rangers? And it was, because they brought back Dr. K, Colonel Truman had a little cameo, and they just made Evox Venjix, which is so cool. But I mean, what more can you say? Just like, that's like the world building Power Rangers has needed for 4 years and could have done 4 years, and now they're doing it. Like, they didn't even do it within this entire season. Like, all of a sudden they're just like, oh yeah, there's a dinosaur vault now because the producer said there's a Dino team up that's coming up and we got to start sending that up. But like, I hope that is basically my hope for Dino Fury. Like, those two things. I want Dino Fury to start taking advantage of this larger universe that they've clearly been setting up for Power Rangers, and just now they're kind of starting to tap into it. Like, they've done it before, obviously. I'm not going to say they have never done it, but it's just the way Beast Morphers started to take that idea is what I hope they do in Dino Fury, and that little storytelling device I said of like an episode can work on its own, but it's still part of this larger ongoing story. I really like that in the first 5 episodes of the second half of season 2. So now we're up to date, but there's actually 3 other things I want to talk about. We have been going for a while, and I don't want to go for too long. It's already been 2 hours, 20 minutes. So I'm probably going to go until like 2:45. We'll see what happens. So Hyperforce, I don't have really a lot to say about Hyperforce because... So if you don't know what Hyperforce is like basically the first fully American season of Power Rangers. They designed these suits. They have their own Zords. They have their own theme song. But their storytelling device was a board game. Like, Hyperforce is just a board game. They hired a bunch of actors. I think Ninja Steel Blue is the Red Ranger, Bulk is the Yellow Ranger, and a famous YouTuber is the Blue Ranger. I can't remember his name, but you know, that's kind of like they're actors, but like they're playing different characters, but they're playing this board game. It's kind of like, it's basically like, they're basically just playing a custom Power Rangers board game, and it's now a Power Rangers season officially, which is kind of cool. But for me personally, it's like 3 episodes a season. So, Hyperforce came during Ninja Steel, I think. I think it might have been during a hiatus for Ninja Steel. I don't remember, but it was like during the Ninja Steel time. So like I haven't seen Hyperforce because it's like 3-hour episodes, but they're just playing a game. So like I don't really have an interest in watching that. Now the comics, if they took just the story of Hyperforce, they made this whole story in Hyperforce. It's like an anniversary season. Like they're like this. From what I've heard, they're like this offshoot of Time Force, and they time travel and dimension travel to other seasons. They like tie into Shattered Grid in the comics. I would read the Hyperforce comics if they made it like if they just made an animated show of Hyperforce. I would watch that animated show. Like I want them to make the Hyperforce story in like a more accessible medium, because right now it's just like 23-hour episodes, and I don't really want to watch that. Well, it's 23-hour episodes of people playing a game that becomes a story. If it's like 23-hour episodes where they're all episodes of like the show, I'd watch that, but it's not. So, it's just okay. But I hear it's really good, so I would definitely be interested in seeing it some other way. The second to last thing I have to talk about is the Power Rangers movie, the 2017 movie, which I saw opening day actually. So I really like the movie. When I saw it opening day, and that's the only time I've seen it, and that was 3 years ago, so I'm kind of working off some distant memory here. I liked the movie, especially, like, I liked how it focused a lot on the characters, clearly. It's definitely, like, the most character-focused season of Power Rangers. I like how it took kind of the idea that we kind of see in the comics, where it's like, whoa, what a coincidence. It's these 5 people that are friends. No, these people, they hate each other, I think, for most of the movie. And eventually they come together and become Power Rangers. I think that was really cool. And, like, the way it's just, like, Day of the Dumpster, but, like, extended, basically, was a really unique idea. That's kind of it. I don't really have much to say about the movie. Oh, I do love the lore the movie does, where it takes parts of Power Rangers lore and smashes it together in this one story. Like, the Zeo crystal is a central plot point of the movie, so it like definitively sets up Zeo as a power set in the show in the series before Zeo even happens. Like, there's still Mighty Morphin, but like the Zeo crystal's already there as a thing they can tap into for Zeo if they continue doing the movies. So, I mean, that alone is really cool. Rita and Zordon were part of the previous team of Rangers. Rita is the Green Ranger, really, for most of the movie. She has the coin, I think, and she has the power set, and that's really cool. That's a really cool touch. And if they actually continued into it and did Green with Evil, like, that's a really unique twist on Green with Evil, where it's now Rita using her old powers to control a new person using her old powers. Like, that's a really cool twist. It's kind of like an adaptation of an adaptation. This is an adaptation of MMPR, which in itself is an adaptation of Jew Ranger. So that's an interesting thought. The one complaint I have 2 big complaints, basically. The big one is your sound of Power Rangers. Everyone has said this. It's called Power Rangers, but they're mostly just Rangers without any power for most of the movie. I don't know how they could have worked that in, though, because, I mean, the movie is very clearly set up as this character focus, as this character analysis more than like Power Rangers the movie. So I don't know how they could have worked around that. And in addition, because it's like PG-13, it kind of feels it kind of feels like most of the time they're just like, we have to be dark and edgy Power Rangers. Like, not as much as that one fan film, which I really do like. Not the fan film, the fact that it's not the fan film, because I don't like it. But like, there's that one joke in like the beginning of the movie, and it's like, it feels really heavy-handed. Like, okay, we have to make sure this is PG-13 Power Rangers. How do we do that? Cow. You know what I'm talking about if you've seen the movie. So I don't really like that. And the suits are cool, though. A lot of people hate the suits. In the movie, they look really good. Like, when they're CG suits, I do like them. I really like the alien aesthetic. Like, how they're just like, well, Zordon's an alien, Alpha's an alien robot. Let's make them aliens. I mean, like, they're alien designs. Why the hell not? They're like alien dinosaurs or whatever. I think that's really cool. I really like that touch. And it makes it feel like that different. It feels more like a different version of MMPR rather than like an update version of MMPR, which is really cool. And as someone mentioned out, the diversity of the Rangers is also really nice. I think Trini in the movie is the first LGBTQ plus Ranger, right? Which is really cool. So I'm glad that of all the things the movie could have done, I'm glad they did give a bit of representation, so that's cool. So I'm really sad they didn't. We're not getting a sequel. Now, there is a sequel comic, and since they've said they're not doing a sequel, we know they're not doing a sequel series of movies anymore. I hope the comics just pick up this whole brand of Power Rangers and does its own thing with it. I would love that. Now, speaking of the comics, this is my favorite piece of Power Rangers media. The Boom Studios comics. Literally, basically anything from the comics is my favorite piece of Power Rangers media. This is my wrap-up. I'm going to finish talking about the comics because I love the comics. So, if you haven't read the comics, I'm going to go through all the arcs. I'm going to try to keep it spoiler-free. But please read the comics. If you don't read the comics, you can read them online. I think at Comixology, you can buy the comics from there, and you can read all of them, basically. You can order them from Amazon, I believe, as well. But find some way to read the comics if you're a Power Rangers fan, and read the comics. Because this is kind of not what I've always wanted from Power Rangers in one aspect, but it's this perfect method of doing Power Rangers, because Power Rangers, are the Power Rangers comics good? Yes. Because Power Rangers is an adaptation, right? I mean, they take stuff from Sentai, they change stuff from Sentai, but this takes stuff from Power Rangers and changes stuff from Power Rangers, and even some stuff from the Sentai, I think, maybe, and changes those things as well. And like, this fills out the world so much, like, of MMPR. Like, as I discussed at the very beginning of this very long stream, MMPR is not really that good, but it's the beginning of the franchise, so, you know, I have some respect for it. But this makes me love MMPR. Like, I have 2 Lightning Collection figures, Lord Draken and MMPR Red, and the only reason I got MMPR Red is because I love Jason in Go-Go Power Rangers. I didn't get him because of MMPR Red Jason in the show. I got him because of MMPR Jason in the Boom Studios comics. So, basically, here's how the comics have started, and this is what I mean, where, like, they take MMPR and expand upon it. In MMPR, Tommy becomes good, and, like, he's a part of the team, right? Like, he's already part of the team. The first arc of the comics focuses on Tommy joining the team, but it takes place immediately after Green with Evil. Like, Green with Evil happens, and then the next day are the first arc of the Boom comics. And that's what I mean, where it uses the show as a launching off point. It understands that, like, MMPR is, like everyone has seen MMPR or like knows about MMPR. Like everyone's seen Green with Evil, so they don't retread Green with Evil. They use that as their launching off point, and they focus on Tommy, like the effects of being mind controlled by Rita. Like Tommy is like kind of broken as a person because of Rita, and he's reluctant to join the team. They're thinking, oh, what if he turns evil? Like, because he was evil, he's questioning himself. Like, was I doing that under mind control? Was I evil? Like, did I enjoy that? And then they even expand upon that then by bringing in Lord Draken, an original character, which is a alternate universe version of Tommy that is evil, that became evil. It's a Tommy that was freed from Rita, but decided, I don't want to be good. I want to stay evil. And he stays evil. And, like, that's so cool. And it builds off of what the comics were already doing, which is taking something from the Boom comic, or taking something from the original show, and building off of it. So the comics, I think they're 4 years old. This is the first arc of the comics from like 4 years ago, and I would honestly recommend just starting there because it's like the Draken arc is really cool just to touch on it, because in that universe Draken has like destroyed all the Rangers. Like they kind of have like a few lines where like they brought in Saba and the Alien Rangers and the Thunder Zords early in that universe because Tommy as Draken, or Tommy turning evil, was such a force to be reckoned with. And then Tommy takes the powers of the other Rangers that he's defeated, and he creates his own like Ranger armies of them that are called like the Ranger Sentries. So then we have like Red Ranger Sentries, which are like these, they're basically like mechanized versions of the Power Rangers. And I just look up like Boom Comics Sentries and like just look at the beautiful art. The big one everyone knows about is Shattered Grid, which is the crossover where they bring Draken back, and they basically have him, he splits the Power Rangers universe like into chunks. Like every season becomes its own separate universe because of his actions, and he individually goes to those universes and he systematically destroys every team. But what he does is he's trying to take powers from every team so he can become a part of the grid. So we get stuff like, there's a shot of Draken with like Korag, Psycho Blue, and like the A Squad team, which is fantastic. And then like he's powering himself up as well with these other Ranger teams, but he's also taking some of their powers and he's making more Ranger Sentries as well. So in the final battle, there's like there's the normal, there's like MMPR Black Sentries, there's MMPR Red Sentries, MMPR Yellow Sentries, but now there's Samurai Blue Sentries, there's Dino Charge Gold Sentries, Jungle Fury Blue, or Jungle Fury White Sentries, and Wild Force Silver and Zeo Green, I think. There's like they just grab random Rangers and they're like, make it a Sentry, and they're all these like different mechanized designs, and I love it so much. It's so cool. And then beyond that, after Shattered Grid, they have Beyond the Grid, which is kind of weird. I'm just going to skip that because that's kind of, I think it's good. I would recommend, well, I think it's all right, but I would recommend reading it if you're still reading the comics because it plays into some later stuff. But Beyond the Grid kind of is like the fallout of Shattered Grid in a different way, and it focuses on this separate team of Rangers from across the franchise. So I think it's an original character, the Ranger Slayer, who's in the bottom. That's the evil Kimberly from Draken's World. Then Green Samurai Ranger from Ninja Storm, Magna Defender, Zeo Ranger to Yellow, Dark Ranger, that's where Dark Ranger comes in, and Andros. And then it also introduces the Solar Ranger, which is another new character. So I think that's really cool. That whole, the idea of that arc, but it's kind of executed weird. But afterwards, the current arc that just finished, I guess, is what's on screen, which is called Necessary Evil, which is more fallout of Shattered Grid in a different way, which I can't get into without spoilers. So, but basically, what it does is it takes Jason, Trini, and Zach, and they go to the press conference, like in MMPR. But they changed the lore, and now the press conference is them. The Rangers think they're going to a press conference, but what they're really doing is going to space, and they become these Omega Rangers. That's what they're called, the Omega Rangers. It's a different team. And they're now like this space police that takes out like rogue morphin people that I can't really talk about here, but it like completely expands the lore. And like that's another part of the comics that I love, where it kind of fits into MMPR. Now, someone asked earlier if it's in an alternate universe. Technically, yes, because there's like phones in it, so it's kind of a different universe, really. But it does fit in. Like, you can read the original comic, the original issues where Tommy's struggling to join the team. You can read that in between Green with Evil and whatever comes after, and it fits in. This story, for the most part, until stuff that happens later, it fits in. Because, I mean, we don't know what happened with the press conference. So, it is an alternate universe, but it spins off of real events in MMPR. And it's really, really, I love it. It's super interesting. And it goes even further with the spin-off series, which is called Go-Go Power Rangers, which is my personal favorite of the two. Well, actually, I love both of them equally, really. But Go-Go is a character study, basically. So what happens with Go-Go Power Rangers is they take a step back, where the mainline comics always had Tommy because it starts after Green with Evil. These start after episode 1 of Power Rangers, and it's once again like they don't redo Day of the Dumpster. Day of the Dumpster happens as an episode, and then you can go read the Boom Studios or the Go-Go Power Rangers first issue or whatever, because it fits into that lore. It spins off of the established lore of Power Rangers, and it Go-Go more fits into it. I would say, like, Go-Go is technically in an alternate universe with the mainline comics, but it kind of fits in because it has this focus on the characters. Like, there's a whole dilemma with Billy where he wants to quit being the Blue Ranger because he just wants to take an internship. Like, I mean, it's such like a minuscule problem, really, but it feels so real, and it humanizes the MMPR characters beyond like Billy being like, oh, I'm the smart one. It's like, no, he has this problem, this dilemma that makes sense, and you want to see him fulfill it. And there's this whole thing with Kimberly, and at the time, it's her current boyfriend that she had before Tommy. And there's this really crazy like storyline with that character named Matt, and it's like super interesting. And then they bring in this one guy named Alpha 1, who's like a prototype alpha, and it's it fits into the lore. Now, it doesn't, at that point, it doesn't fit into at that point it doesn't fit into the main season anymore, but it still fits in. I mean, it fits into the lore of the established Power Rangers world, and it even ties into Shattered Grid. They have a little, that is where Ranger Slayer is introduced, really. And then they have this time skip. Basically, Go-Go takes place before the mainline comics. Then you can read the mainline comics, and then Go-Go skips to after Shattered Grid, and now it becomes this prequel again, where we see how the White Ranger is formed, how the Omega Rangers are formed, and now at that point it kind of becomes just Boom Studios Comics, the prequel, which is I kind of am not the biggest fan of that, where it just becomes a prequel now, but it's still really good. Like, I still really love it, but just the first like the first chunk of Go-Go Power Rangers. I don't know the specific issue count, but basically everything before the Necessary Evil parts of Go-Go are probably my favorite pieces of Power Rangers media, because it humanizes the characters in such an amazing way, and that is kind of what I want when Power Rangers is like, okay, we're gonna redo MMPR again. Like, Megaforce doesn't do anything with its characters in high school. Ninja Steel doesn't do anything with its characters in high school. It's just the setting. They're just there. They could be anywhere. But Go-Go takes the characters in high school and it completely changes everything. And I love that. And I mean, there's so much more about the comics as well. Like, there's this one issue that takes place in the past, and it like completely establishes why Zordon specifically picks 5 teenagers with attitude, which they didn't need to do, but they still do it. The current arc is like the last 5 issues are like these individual stories which are dealing with the aftermath of Necessary Evil, which will ultimately lead into something which now splits into 2 new series or something, and there's more new characters, more new lore they're going to introduce. It looks like they're going to do what they're already doing with MMPR and spin off of the existing Power Rangers lore, but do it with all these other seasons, and I'm really excited for that. I want to do some kind of video on the comics at some point, but I'm not sure what, because there's so much I want to talk about, because I just love the comics, and I really hope they keep continuing it. I'm sure they're going to keep continuing it since they're starting 2 new seasons, or series for it. But yeah, I think the comics are fantastic. If you are not reading the comics and you like Power Rangers, please read the comics. I would recommend going in the order that they are released. So like, do the first issues of MMPR up to like at some point start reading Go-Go, and then read Shattered Grid, both Shattered Grid issues at the same time. You may have to do some research. I'm not going to set something up. I'm too lazy, but you may have to do some research. There's probably some people who have set stuff up, but I would read the comics. They're gooch. And that's why I and like so many other people are like, oh, they should do this in the comics, or the comics should do this, because everyone trusts the comics. Like, everyone's like, oh yeah, just do that in the comics and it'll work out fine. So like, I want Boom Studio to adapt other pre-Jew Ranger shows in the comics. Yeah, like, if Boom does stuff like that, like, I'm all for it. If the show does it, I'm like, well, I don't know. So yeah, that is my take on the comics, and that is all of Power Rangers. Thomas Jujubee talks for 2 hours and 45 minutes about spandex people in costumes, and that is that's how I've celebrated Power Rangers Day. I'm really tired now, but that was actually a lot of fun. I've never done something like that. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun seeing your thoughts on all these seasons. I've realized that I can now go watch the original Power Rangers movie, so I'm probably going to go do that, and then maybe watch Dimensions in Danger, because why the hell not? I hope you guys enjoy your Power Rangers Day. I know usually live streams I make unlisted. I might keep this one public for a while, but remember that all the live streams I keep public, but they're in the live streams folder, so it doesn't clog up the main channel listing. So all the live streams for like the past like year or this year are all public in the live streams playlist. So go check that out if you want to see this in the future, in the off chance I do unlist it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Video stuff that's coming up next week, as I mentioned way earlier. Next week is going to be my review of Kamen Rider 01, the full series, then to now review. After that will be my review of Kamen Rider Saber Episode 1, somewhere around that. is going to be my Rider Potential 01 video. And after that, I don't know specifically what will happen, but I have been watching a lot of shows throughout my time stuck at home. And I'm going to hopefully review all of those in the coming weeks, months, whatever. I don't know how long that'll take. I also have a ranking thing planned for Power Rangers Super Sentai that I will hopefully get out. It's a big one. I'll hopefully get that out soon. That'll probably be what happens after Rider Potential 01, actually. So we'll see. But yeah, that's what's to come. And probably a Kamen Rider Craft stream in like the next month or two, because I have a plan now for that series. So thank you guys so much for coming out to the stream. And happy Power Rangers Day, and I hope to see you next time.